Rates have finally dropped. Call today for a free mortgage checkup. Pay off those credit cards. Call 314-567-GOLD. That's 314-567-GOLD.
Golden Old Landing, showing my blue.
NMLS 114937.
If you're a St. Louis hockey fan, then you know how important it is for the gang to work as a team to get the winning goal. Air Alliance Team Heating and Cooling has the same game face when it comes to repairing, maintaining, or replacing your HVAC system, including next-day complete installs. Air Alliance Team won't leave you in the penalty box and cold this winter. Get on board with the team you can trust. Air Alliance Team Heating and Cooling. Getting the job done quickly, correctly, 100% of the time. AirAllianceTeam.com. That's AirAllianceTeam.com.
WXOS HD1 East St. Louis. 101 ESPN is driven by Auto Centers Nissan, home of the lifetime warranty and 30-day return. This is the opening drive on 101 ESPN. Brought to you by Sumner One.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the opening drive on 101 ESPN in St. Louis, where it's 7 o'clock. Your time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler with Brooke Grimsley. I'm Randy Carricker. Great to have you with us here on 101 ESPN and the Air Alliance Team studio cam on the. Do we have it now, Matthew? Matthew Rocchio is here. Brooke Grimsley is here. So, yeah, we got the studio cam if you want to watch us. Brooke and I are both adjusting our cameras so that
mine always goes
so you can see our face
all the way to the corner for whatever reason.
I wonder why that is. That's so that they can't see your face.
Oh, yeah. You don't want to see that.
Oh, people want to see.
No.
So,
no.
Yeah, you can just hop onto the old YouTube, type in 101 ESPN STL, and you can not only watch us, but you can subscribe to the 101 ESPN channel.
Your face. We want to see your face.
There it is.
You want to see my face?
There it is. See, they do.
They want to see both of our faces, Randy.
Yeah. So, Brooke, tell us about your morning so far.
Well, Randy, I'm having the Mondayest Monday ever in existence. So this morning, I make myself coffee every single morning, like a lot of people do as you're driving to work. And I was just driving in this morning, minding my business. I have the coffee in my hand just to set up the situation, and it's open, and I'm about to take a sip. And right when I do that, I hit a pothole, and Randy, my hand-eye coordination is typically really good, but it was one of those moments where I felt like I was in a cartoon where it just flew up, landed in my lap, and just coffee over my entire lap. That's the way that I'm starting my Monday.
You need to sue somebody.
Oh, well, you know what? Actually, did you ever look into that story even more with that McDonald's woman?
Yeah, uh-huh.
It was bad. So
really
she had a
really
legit
hot.
claim.
Yeah.
She had third-degree burns.
Yeah.
Now, this is totally different. This was just coffee I made in my own home. I have no one else to blame but myself. I can't even get mad about the pothole, though.
I think you can get mad about the pothole.
Can I get mad at the pothole? Sometimes they're very sneaky.
Yeah.
They just come out of nowhere.
Especially when it's dark, yeah.
Yeah, and so that's how my Monday is starting off, Randy, is coffee in my lap. Luckily, my very, very, very sweet fiance is dropping off some new pants for me so that you guys don't have to deal with coffee-smelling pants in this room for the rest of the morning.
Here's what we got coming up on the show. A lot to get to as we head towards the Super Bowl. Super Bowl week is upon us. We'll talk to the voice of the Blues, Chris Kerber, coming up at 8:15, and then at 9:15, Joe Buck will join us. Of course, he's done his share of Super Bowls and does Monday Night Football, and he's got the Super Bowl back on ABC in a few years, but he's a big Blues fan, big Cardinals fan. He'll give us some stuff. I want to find out about Tom Brady, if he thinks Tom Brady is going to wind up going to Fox.
Ooh.
So we'll ask him that.
That'll be a good question. I want to follow up with, I saw that he did an interview where he mentioned maybe he would join Chip Carey in the booth just for fun one day, so you have the Carey Buck reunion.
Yeah, so that'll be fun. Harry and Jack did games for years, and Chip and Joe are tight, so yeah, that'll be fun. Not a great weekend for sports here in St. Louis. First of all, there wasn't a lot going on. Second of all, what was going on wasn't pleasant. Saturday over at Chaffetz, Fordham beats SLU 67-65. SLU had a chance late, and as they are wont to do lately, they failed down the stretch. They've lost 8 of 9 now, Brooke. They're 8-14 overall, 1-8, and in last place in the A-10 conference. Yeah, it's kind of bad for the Billikens.
Is it worse than scuffling? At this point, we're just kind of writing it out till the end.
It's just bad. This is like a 71-win baseball season.
And I really do like Travis Ward, so I don't like to, say somebody possibly would be losing their job. But, Randy, is it fair to guess that this is where we're heading?
I think it's fair to guess that, although I think college basketball is in such a ridiculous place right now.
It is.
I don't think any coach really has a chance. It's really bad. So I feel bad for Travis. I feel bad for Dennis Gates at Mizzou. They fell to Vanderbilt 68-61. Mizzou is 8-14 also. They're 0-9 in their conference, last place in the SEC. Who saw that one coming?
I knew that it wasn't going to be that good of a year for him, but I wasn't expecting this, especially against Vanderbilt. Both of them have not won a game in the conference yet. And so it was a battle of the beatens rather than the unbeatens, Randy. And Mizzou ended up coming out as the one who continues to stay beaten. So that is just not good. I understand with the transfer portal and everything, when it comes to recruiting-wise, I think that he is doing better, right, going into next season.
Yes.
But at the same time, this is just a really bad year for him. You have to give them a mulligan, right?
Yeah, you do, but man,
it's bad.
It's really bad. The area basketball, aside from the Illini, is bad. The 14th ranked Illini knocking off Nebraska last night, 87-84. So that was action-packed, and congratulations to the Illini, who are number 14 in the country, and they are not in last place in their conference. So, yeah.
Yay!
Go Brad Underwood. NHL All-Star Game. I must confess, I missed it. Team
What?
Matthews over Team McDavid, 7-4.
Why'd you miss it, Randy? Robert Thomas, friend of the show, was on there.
Robert Thomas held scoreless in the game, played 6 minutes. Austin Matthews had 2 goals and an assist, and his team won, so he won the MVP. Yeah, I don't know what was on during the All-Star games, but I missed it, whatever it was. I did see
had the Pro Bowl.
Oh, maybe I was watching flag football or something or maybe dodgeball or something like that. I may have been watching something like that. I was actually sitting last night saying to myself, I can't believe that people watch pro football players playing flag football as I sat there watching pro football players playing flag football.
You're like, who in the world watches this?
Yeah, and then it's me.
Right there. I will say I thought that they made it a little bit more exciting. The NHL All-Star Weekend, I caught bits and pieces of it, and it looked like a really great presentation to show, but sometimes it's just hard to follow. I feel like the pace of it is what feels a little bit off to me.
Yeah.
But I like their jerseys a lot.
Jerseys were cool. By the
You
way,
had the Beebs there.
Yeah, that was...
In a giant jacket. Did you see him wearing that giant
very
jacket?
Very impressive. Yeah. Jersey's not a little bit garish? You don't think?
I guess. It was a
garish isn't necessarily bad.
No, it was a collaboration with Justin Bieber's brand Drew.
Okay.
And so they were meant to look a certain way. So I didn't necessarily hate it.
No, it's kind of...
It's trendy. It's cute.
Yeah, it's a music thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, music, congratulations to Swift, the album of the year, too. Yeah, that'll make the Super Bowl a little bit better.
A little bit better, will it?
Now, do you think she got on a plane for Japan right away after the Grammys last night? Because she's got 3 shows in Tokyo, I believe, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So I wonder if she's flying out this morning or left last night.
Randy, is there a sports equivalent to winning an award and then pretty much saying, here's the thing I'm going to do next that's also going to win a lot of awards? As she accepts her award and then says, by the way, fans, get ready for me to sell a couple 100 million new copies and win another one of these in a year. I'm trying to think of somebody calling their shot like that while holding a trophy in their hand already.
Yeah, it would have had to have been Michael or something like that. But yeah, that would be hard to do.
It would be.
Iconic.
Yeah.
And she also announced a brand new album.
Yeah, that's what
she is booked and busy.
Yeah, she's doing well. Congratulations to Swiftie. Yeah, she's got a lot going on.
She does. And she's dating Travis Kelce.
Yeah, who's playing in the Super Bowl on Sunday, coming up Sunday, against the San Francisco 49ers. The final round of the Pebble Beach Invitational postponed until today at Pebble Beach Golf Links in California. Wyndham Clark leads at 17 under. He was 12 under on Saturday in the 3rd round. 4 other golfers that you've never even heard of are within 3 shots of the lead.
Say his name the right way.
Wyndham Clark.
Thank you.
That's the right way to say it.
Wyndham.
It sounds
Randy
wrong when you said it the first time. Yeah, like,
Randy,
who is that?
You've never called Wyndham Clark that before. I need to hear it
Wyndham.
correctly.
Like,
Yeah,
who
Wyndham
is
Clark.
that?
Yeah. So here we go with the other guys. And I was serious. 4 guys that you've never heard of.
Okay.
Ludwig Aberg is in second place, 16
How are you
under.
unfamiliar with him?
Ludwig Aberg.
Great
You've
pronunciation, by
got
the way.
Matthew Pavon, who's not American. He's at 15 under. You've got Mark Hubbard. He may own or may not own our radio company.
Oh, then he's fantastic.
He's at 14 under, yeah. And then you've got Thomas Dietrich at 14 under. And then finally, you've got Jason Day, who you have heard of, at 13 under. So, but the next 4 guys, Ludwig Aberg, Matthew Pavon, Mark Hubbard, and Thomas Dietrich, they are going to bring a lot of viewership to CBS this afternoon in the final round of the Pebble Beach Invitational.
Golf nerd moment. When was the last time Jason Day was actually in contention to win like a legitimate tournament?
I think he actually had a good down the stretch last year.
Really?
I think he had a good round.
I guess
yeah.
maybe
Or
good for him, I
good
guess.
weekend. Yeah. And he'll, if Rory gets his way, he'll be able to play on his home turf coming up pretty soon. Because Rory wants to take golf out of America.
He wants to take it out. It is very strange to see him completely change his tune.
Yeah, he has. Now he wants to have it be the World Golf Tour. And, he says, no, I don't want to completely take out America, but I just want to have, I want to have tournaments in 10 different countries. Yeah, it's all about the money.
It is.
Yeah,
It's all about the money.
he wants-
I'm doing the Johnny Manziel thing, by
he
the way.
wants golf in India. Now, I get Dubai. I get
Mm-hmm.
Saudi Arabia because that's money. That's who owns the tour. Australia. Yeah, it's cool. Good. So, yeah, but I wonder what tournaments he wants to take away from American cities. I don't know.
No idea.
Soccer. The World Cup Championship will be played at MetLife Stadium in New Jersey in 2026. There had been talk of the possibility of Dallas getting that game. There was also talk of Stan Kroenke pulling out completely if he didn't get the championship. However, the first round of action will take place on the West Coast, and the games will be played at SoFi Stadium. So somehow they were able to pacify Stan Kroenke, who, oh, by the way, is going to have to upgrade his stadium to the tune of $100 million to make it sufficient for World Cup soccer play.
By 2026?
Yes, they have to take out rows of seats so that the surface area of the stadium is large enough to have a World Cup soccer match.
And how much did he spend on the stadium in the first place?
Almost $6 billion.
Wow.
Yeah. Pebble Beach has canceled the tournament. The Bulletin, apparently official, they've called Wyndham Clark the winner. So they're going to be playing on CBS today.
Was it the wind?
Yes, wind and
Wyndham Clark?
tsunami. Well done, Brooke. Wyndham Clark. Matthew, do you have your that Chris Long tweet up that you were telling me about? We'll get to the Chris Long tweet, and we've got 3 things we loved about the weekend. But, what did Chris write? And by the way, the 49ers season last year was kind of ruined at MetLife Stadium when they played back-to-back games there against the Giants and the Jets. And here's what
Chris Long had 2 tweets.
our buddy, Chris Long.
The first was a quote tweet of the announcement that was going to be held at MetLife, and he said, "Let's bring the most expensive ACLs on the planet to MetLife. Brilliant." And then he followed that up by saying, "I don't care if FIFA demolishes that stadium and builds a new one with Kentucky blue. All the ruptured ACLs will haunt that new stadium. It's like a poltergeist situation. Burial ground."
That is so good. But it's true, because you have heard there's been so many injuries. Obviously, we know the big one that happened this past season, but there have been so many injuries.
I thought the big one that happened was Jimmy Hoffa.
Oh, no. Well, you never know. But I completely agree with him. Maybe they could actually do something to change that, because that would be very dangerous, I feel like, in that situation. Isn't SoFi haunted too? Have you seen that? Where I
No.
guess some people died during the construction of it?
Well, when the devil builds a house, there's going to be something that goes on, right?
It's a sacrifice.
There were people that died on the construction site, but
So you know what I'm talking about?
yeah, but the guy who was financing it didn't care. They just said, "Well, sorry," and then kept working because we had a deadline that we had to get it done by.
That's a bad omen to have around your stadium.
And
Maybe
then-
that's why you can't get any fans in there, Randy.
The interesting thing was, so they kept working and working and working to have it done by this deadline. They were going to open with, I think, 5 Taylor Swift shows, ironically. And so they're working. I shouldn't laugh. and they're almost set to get it done by the deadline, and then we get a pandemic. So it was done a year ahead of time. Sorry, Shan, for all that overtime. For all that overtime. Yeah, it happens. It happens. All right, we are off and running here on the opening drive on 101 ESPN. Danny Mac, of course, will rejoin us tomorrow, Tuesday through Friday for Danny Mac. Coming up, 3 things we loved from the weekend here on 101 ESPN. Hey, I don't have to tell you that different real estate agents are going to sell your home for different amounts of money and in different time frames. And the agent you choose to sell your home matters. Here are the facts. Gloria Lou, with Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty, sells faster and for more money than the average agent. Gloria has guarantees that allow you to rest easy. Not to mention, she already has the buyers. You say, she already has the buyers? Yeah, that's pretty incredible. That's why she's able to guarantee the sale of your home in writing, because thousands of ready buyers are standing by. Gloria has over 20 years of buyers in an exclusive database looking to buy in your neighborhood and in your price range. That's how Gloria nets you the most money and creates the highest demand, many times with multiple offers, which means more money in your pocket. Gloria sells for more and sells faster when compared to your average agent. She is your St. Louis real estate authority. Gloria Lou can be reached by calling 314-325-6888, 314-325-6888, or visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com. Brooke, Matthew, Randy, and 3 things we loved about the weekend here on 101 ESPN.
Number 3.
Brooke, you know what was cool is for the most part this weekend, we really had good weather in St. Louis. I loved being able to drive around with my roof open over the course of the weekend, especially on Saturday, and just sing along to songs really loud. It was great. It was a great day for driving with the roof open and singing really loud.
What were you singing, Randy?
Oh, I was singing Bee Gees. I was doing a lot of
Hotel California?
There was no Hotel California, but there was some Eagles there. Life in the Fast Lane, as a matter of fact.
Ooh.
Yeah, so it was just a really cool weekend to do that kind of thing. Kind of makes you feel great. Kind of, gets your juices flowing. It was great.
It was. It was just so nice. But do you also get kind of nervous when it's this nice out this early? I feel like in February, typically there's at least one more snow storm or something that you will have coming. And so I'm excited, but at the same time, I'm like, is this going to be real? Will this be sustainable? Or am I about to have some more cold weather coming soon?
I trust Tempe. And Tempe tells me that we're going to be in the 50s and 60s for a while. No, I think that we are to the point now in our existence where winter is over. We've had our winter and we're done.
You don't believe that? Cautiously optimistic.
I never trust the weather in this city.
So you get what I'm saying, right, Brock? It's you're just kind of nervous about it.
So one time it rained. It snowed in March. It was a Saturday afternoon, and we got like 3 inches of snow. And I was with my daughter Katie and decided that we would do Thanksgiving in March. And I was right over here and just pulled in, got a turkey, got some mashed potatoes, got some stuffing, and I made Thanksgiving in March.
In my life, there's been a snow in the March 20s, like in that block of days, March 20 something. I remember it being. I remember thinking it's like March 24th and there's snow on the ground. I'm baffled and angry.
One time the Cardinals opener got snowed out. And then,
really?
Yeah, and that's why they always have the day after the scheduled opener open. Mm-hmm. And so the opener got snowed out, like 4 inches of snow at noon in early April, and then the next day was 65 degrees.
That's not normal, right?
No, but it was cool. I'm glad that we got the opener. It was like in the late 80s, too, 88, something like that.
There was one time when I was a kid, they called off school because it was supposed to be like 20 degrees, and like 4 inches of snow were going to dump on St. Louis at like 6 a.m., and that happened. And by noon, it was 55 degrees, and all the snow from 6 a.m. was melting, and it's like, this is the same day.
Yeah.
It's insane.
It's like Denver without the mountains.
Yeah. What do you mean? You don't see all the beautiful mountains right outside the window, Randy? What are you talking about? Now I can
over to Cahokia Mounds.
I can just picture you this weekend just singing, jamming out. Probably some T-Swift in there too.
Oh yeah, there is some Swifty. Yep.
That's a nice day.
Yeah, it was fun.
enjoy it. I enjoy going outside as well. My number 3 thing from this weekend is going to be last night, actually. I really am going to be honest with you guys. I don't pay attention to the Grammys that much. I just kind of see clips. And then when I saw that Luke Combs brought out Tracy Chapman to sing Fast Cars, that was a spectacular moment because, one, that is one of my favorite songs ever. And for Tracy Chapman, she hasn't come out and actually done performances in a couple of years. So that was a huge moment. And Luke Combs, he basically said when he wanted to redo that song or cover it, that he grew up listening to that. He remembers his dad playing it on the cassette, and so that's why he wanted to redo it. It's just one of my favorite songs ever. I like his version, but I really love Tracy's version.
Yeah, they both did a really good job with it. I wonder if any Luke Combs fans were not aware of the fact that she actually sang it in the 80s and were kind of freaked out.
You think?
Maybe. I don't know.
I would hope not. I would hope that in this day and age of the internet that you could just like Google it real quick and see. But I'm sure that there was some people who didn't realize that it was a cover of a song.
And maybe it should have been realized when he said that he was a checkout girl or something like that. he didn't change the lyrics, right?
Yes, that's true. It'd be like, that's okay.
Weird.
That's weird to do, huh?
Number 2.
All right, Brooke, we were talking about the weather. I loved going over to the St. Louis Golf Expo at the St. Charles Convention Center this weekend. 101 ESPN, proud to be a sponsor. We've sponsored the main stage, but that is another thing that makes me feel like, okay, spring is almost here. And they did a great job at the Golf Expo. All the manufacturers were up and down the aisle. You had all kinds of different venues that were sponsoring the Golf Expo or that were there. Plays Mississippi Golf, Arkansas Golf, the Ozarks Golf Trail, all that stuff, and then all kinds of instruction. It was really cool. I liked being there, and a lot of people in St. Louis loved heading over to the Golf Expo over the weekend. Great job by our friends over at the St. Louis Golf Expo.
Did you purchase anything?
Only some golf balls, that's it.
Ooh, anything interesting that you saw there?
Oh, yeah, just long drive champions, and they had a long drive contest and a long putting contest. Yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff that happens there. And if I didn't have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of caps already, I would have bought several caps. But I already have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of caps, and I don't have enough space for them right now as it is. So.
But you were slightly tempted.
I was slightly tempted. You are correct, yeah.
Well, my number 2 thing for this weekend is the fact that the U.S. will co-host the World Cup with Canada and Mexico in 2026. I think it's just going to be so exciting. You're going to have the World Cup final, as we mentioned, in New Jersey. I think it's very important to say New Jersey, that it's happening there.
Yeah.
New Jersey. And I just think it's really exciting. This is the second time that the U.S. will host it since 1994. So it's just really exciting to have that happen here.
It's going to be great. We all find the World Cup to be the best soccer, just like we find Olympic hockey to be the best hockey, because you have a concentration of the best players in the world. And I like watching World Cup soccer even after the United States gets eliminated, unless they aren't in it at all. So I think it's the best soccer that we see, and I'm looking forward to having it here stateside.
And I think there's a lot of people who worry about if the U.S. will watch it as much or it'll be as accepted as much as it is in other countries. Obviously, when you go on the other side, that that's way more popular. But I saw that in 1994 that was actually one of the most well-received and most watched out of all of them.
Yeah, it's
for the
be
FIFA World Cup.
Awesome to have it here, Matthew.
So the breakdown of the schedule: Kansas City is getting 4 group stage matches, a round of 32 match, and a quarterfinal. Any chance you make the drive 4 hours across the other side of the state for a World Cup game, considering it's the first one in 30 years?
Yeah, very good chance of that happening.
That's pretty good. Only a 4-hour drive for potentially a quarterfinal match. Yeah. Oh, my God, that's pretty crazy.
Our Lieutenant Governor Mike Kehoe is a huge sports fan and had a lot to do with Missouri getting the games to Arrowhead. So congratulations to the great state of Missouri. And we're going to have a lot of fun in a couple of years when we have that World Cup action here.
Number 1.
All right, Brooke, as you know, I have a tremendous ego. And so when I say things, I always feel like I'm right, but I love to have my feelings validated, especially about sports. And on Saturday, I had a chance to do a speaking engagement over at, have you ever been to the McPherson, on McPherson in the Central West End? It's a converted church, and it's a great venue now. They do weddings and receptions and stuff there. Well, the Bob Bragg chapter of the Society for American Baseball Research, SABR, had their annual event over there on Saturday, and I spoke to them, and then I oversaw a roundtable with world champion Brian Boehringer. He was with the Yankees in 96, 97, 98, 96, and 98. They won the World Series, and Bo was in their bullpen. And our friend Jason Simontachi, who's pitched in a lot of playoffs for the Cardinals and did a lot of winning with the Cardinals. And I am running, basically just letting these guys say their piece. And everything that they said about where baseball and the Cardinals are right now is something that I've said on our show. And I feel really validated that these guys who are winning baseball people feel the same way I do. So I know there's people that disagree with me. There's people that are in the Cardinal front office that disagree with me, but I'm glad to have these champions agree with me.
So what did they say? I'm just curious if you can give us a little insight into what they said.
Let's start with this.
Because I know what you say, but what did they specifically agree with you on?
You've got a couple of pitchers that talked to, and Simo was a longtime coach too, and there were a couple of Cardinal pitchers, I'll name them, Carlos Martinez and Jordan Hicks, who I always thought just tried to throw as hard as they could and didn't really have a lot of command. And I wondered about maybe dialing it back if you're Jordan Hicks from 103 to 99 and trying to establish a little bit of command and be a little bit more efficient. So if you're a starter, you don't go 2 2/3 by throwing 88 pitches in 2 2/3 innings. So I asked about that concept, and they said, absolutely, that's something that is logical, that if you don't try to max effort and do work on command, that, you are going to be able to be a better pitcher rather than just a thrower. and the individualism of the sport. It's kind of become like tennis now. You played tennis, and you took a lot of individual lessons, right, to improve the way you hit the tennis ball and where you hit the tennis ball. That's what baseball has become with hitting. And when the Cardinals sent Jordan Walker down last year, they didn't say, we just want him, we want him to hit better. We want him to improve his batting average. We want him to be a better player. They said, no, we just want him to improve his launch angle. Another example, a couple of years ago, and I know this bothered you because I think we might have even talked about it at the time before we were working together, when Jake Woodford was pitching really well, and the Cardinals sent him out, and they said, yeah, we don't like the look of his slider. We want him to work on his slider. So what your slider or a pitch looks like is more important than production. And those guys agreed with me that production should take precedent. Ultimately, baseball now has become a game of process rather than results because of front offices. They agree with me that results should matter.
I remember that conversation with you because it was just really perplexing. And then, too, as a pitcher, and I'm sure that they spoke about this as well, once that stuff starts to get in your head, that is not a good thing because it can just go sideways. It can go the other way for you, for that player.
You wonder how much a guy like Woodford, if they would have just let him produce and keep doing what he was doing, you wonder if it might have been a little bit better.
And you've heard a lot of players speak about this, not just within the Cardinals organization. I will say that there's a lot of other pitchers, players across the league who have mentioned that, where it was too much of a focus on very specific things that didn't have anything to do with their production or what necessarily they were doing when they went out there. It was more of like, well, we want to see, your velo like this. We want to see the launch angle. We want to see this, that. Very kind of nuanced, specific things, which could help them. But if you are looking for something, maybe lay out a full game plan of, we want you to do this because we think it will help you in this way.
But the big thing is, we want to play winning baseball. This will help us be better. So it was great to see those guys, Brian Boehringer and Simo, but also great to just kind of feel validated that I'm thinking along the right lines.
There you go. Well, my number one is not as exciting, but still exciting, Randy. I finally got to experience Paul Manos.
Yeah.
A St. Louis staple. I am so excited. It was great. Thank you so much to Danny Mac for helping me get in there because it's hard to get in there, Randy. And I was fully prepared. I had the lobster ravioli. I had the lamb chops. It was absolutely delicious. They were fantastic. And so I'm a big foodie, and that was yummy.
So as somebody who really does support local restaurants, you almost never go to a chain restaurant. You almost always go to St. Louis owned and operated restaurants. This is top 10%?
I would say yes.
Good.
100%.
Good. Yeah, I love Paul Manos.
100% to the 10%.
Oh, that's pretty impressive.
It was delicious. It was a great experience. I got to take one of my friends with me, and we had a blast. So I enjoyed it. Espresso martinis. Also.
Okay, go for it, huh?
Yes.
Over there. Okay, good. And Paul Mano's a great guy, listens to the show. So thanks to Paul and his staff for taking care of Brooke over the weekend. That is 3 things we love from the weekend here on 101 ESPN. Next up, NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell used to do his annual press conference on Friday. Now it's a Monday press conference, and there's even more than that. Should it really even matter? That's next on 101 ESPN. Hey, we're getting ready for soccer season, and my friends at Together Credit Union, City SC's official banking partner, are offering you a safe and reliable way to grow your hard-earned money. Certificates of deposit, or CDs, are an attractive investment for new and experienced investors because the return on your investment is fixed and it's guaranteed. And right now, Together Credit Union is offering two fantastic CD promotions. Your first CD rate option is an 11-month CD term with a 5.40 annual percentage yield. Your second CD rate option is a 19-month CD term with a 5.00% annual yield. Both options require a minimum balance of $1,000, but if you get them and you're at Together Credit Union, you will be working with the official banking partner of City SC, and if you get that Together Credit Union ATM card, you are going to have great access at City games. So here's what you need to do. Head on over to your Together Credit Union branch or visit togethercu.org today to learn more. Early withdrawal penalties apply and may reduce earnings on the account. Rate offers are accurate as of January 18th, respectively. Rates are subject to change without notice. Other rates and terms available. Membership eligibility required. Federally insured by the NCUA.
This is Rocky with your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. There were All-Star games over the weekend. Also, college basketball as St. Louis falls to Fordham 67-65. Missouri to Vanderbilt 68-61. Missouri still winless in the SEC, falling to 0-9. And on the positive side, the Fighting Illini with another win, number 14 in the country right now, as they get an 87-84 win over Big Ten rivals Nebraska. That is your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff. Find your road and shop 24/7 at Londoff.com and LondoffAutoplex.com. Are you kidding me?
The National Football League during Super Bowl week historically has featured a press conference helmed by Commissioner Roger Goodell, and before that, Paul Tagliabue, and before that, Pete Rozelle. And it always took place on Friday and was open to all the accredited Super Bowl media. Well, times they are a-changing. Now, let's give you a little background here for Super Bowl week. Usually on Monday, there's virtually no media there. Media really doesn't show up at Super Bowl week until Wednesday, and then the mass of people gets there on Thursday and Friday. And the number of media members at the press conference used to be maybe 1,000, maybe 1,200. Well, now what the NFL has done is they have moved Roger Goodell's press conference back to today. It starts today when virtually no media is there, and it's by invitation only. So, for example, if I were an accredited media member and we're headed to Vegas today, there is no way in the blanking world that the NFL would invite me to the commissioner's press conference. It just would not happen. And there's people out there. Rachel Nichols is one who over the years has asked tough questions of the commissioner. She would not be provided an invitation. Mike Florio of Pro Football Talk, who provided this story, has been pretty tough on the league. Jim Trotter.
I was going to say Jim Trotter.
He is suing the league. He would not be invited today. When I first thought of this, I thought, how shallow and how thin-skinned of the league. What do you think?
I think that's 100% my reaction, too, is that basically, if there's an elephant in the room, you have two choices. Either you address it or you ignore it. But when you're Roger Goodell in the NFL, I guess you have a third one, which is just remove it. Remove that option of having those tough questions come in. I want to know who is a part of this invite-only press conference. Who is it going to be? Is it going to be Adam Schefter?
Yep, he'll be there.
Who else do you think will be there?
Oh, it'll be all the NFL network people, Ian Rappaport, who's bought and paid for by the NFL.
So basically everybody who gets those very big leaks, NFL-wise.
Right. Or people that are just sympathetic to the Shield. They're basically the people that are, quote-unquote, on the payroll that would never dare to be critical of the league.
Randy, is he trying to dodge maybe something that just came out recently? I don't know if you saw these reports about those newly unsealed court documents where he's talking about the concussions and how he doesn't see a correlation between concussions in the NFL and brain damage. Is that what he's dodging? Because that just came out. What was that, last week?
Last week. That could be, and I can't imagine that somebody that's invited to the press conference would ask such a rude question. Now, when I thought about it, I thought, why would this bother me? Because I already know who he is. And I've reported this, this is part of the discovery in the St. Louis versus the NFL lawsuit, okay? St. Louis has a record of a October 2013 phone call with Kroenke, Roger Goodell, John Mara, owner of the Giants, and Art Rooney, owner of the Steelers. In the phone call, Kroenke said, and this is their own attorney's notes, an attorney is on the phone call too. Kroenke says, I'm going to buy 2 parcels of land and build a stadium in L.A. Says Kroenke, we're trying very hard to stay under the radar screen and keep it hidden. Goodell responds, we will respect your confidentiality. That is October of 2013, okay? Super Bowl week, the Thursday before the Super Bowl in 2014, same season. Word leaks Kevin Demoff gives to the St. Louis Post-Dispatch and to the LA Times that Stan Kroenke has purchased land that SoFi Stadium sits on in LA right now. So this is, you've had October, November, December, January. 3 months later, this is from the Roger Goodell Super Bowl press conference.
The Kroenke organization confirmed today that it indeed purchased 60 acres of land adjacent to Hollywood Park. And I wonder, to what extent did Stan Kroenke inform the league, if at all, about buying this land and what he plans to do with it? And, I'll let you go with that. I just have a quick follow-up on that.
Okay. Well, as you know, our policy is they do have to keep us informed of any developments or anything that's going on in the Los Angeles market by policy. Stan is a very large developer on a global basis. He has land throughout the country and throughout the world. He has kept us informed of it. We're aware of it. There are no plans, to my knowledge, of a stadium development. Anything that would require any kind of stadium development requires multiple votes of the membership.
My follow-up would just be, what would you say to the millions of St. Louis Rams fans out there who see this as a fairly aggressive step toward Los Angeles and the Los Angeles market?
Well, Sam, exactly what I just said to you. Stan is a very successful developer. He has billions of dollars of projects that are going on around the country of real estate development. And so I think instead of overreacting, we should make sure we do what's necessary to continue to support the team locally, which the fans have done in St. Louis, and make sure we can do whatever we can to make sure that team is successful in the St. Louis market.
Now, this is water under the bridge, but it's an out-and-out blatant lie by the commissioner of the NFL. So I wonder, why do I even care, right? When I see the press conference has been moved back and it's invitation only, if he's going to lie anyway, why do I care, right? Because I know he's a liar.
That is sickening. knowing about how everything that was going on behind the scenes and, moving here, understanding what truly went on, because the NFL also does a great job of really squashing this national media-wise. And that's why I asked which certain reporters will be there, because there's certain reporters that purposely will not report on big things that are happening that are really bad and make the NFL look really bad, because that way they know it won't be out there in the national media. It won't be as big of a story. But fully diving into it, the way that they were really working behind the scenes and with what Roger Goodell, with what he said, that's why he is their commissioner, Randy.
Yeah.
That's why, is because he's okay with lying.
Yeah, he makes them tons and tons and tons of money. But he's obviously a blatant liar. So with that being the case, and with the fact that he claims recently that he's not sure that head trauma and concussions lead to CTE, come on. What rock is he living under? He essentially
knows.
He's a liar.
Because they've already, thus far, paid out over $1 billion, Randy. That's why, to former players who have experienced CTE, and they're able to actually put it back to their time in the NFL. And there's a big reason why he does not want to talk about that. Also, in those documents that I talk about, those court documents that were just unveiled, he had to say this about the issues with concussions and the NFL. He expressed that he compared the risk associated with playing contact sports to walking down the street. And he expressed great frustration with the media's coverage of head injuries, saying they misstate, they misrepresent things, and when they do that, they add to a narrative that I think is unfair and unfounded. He said that in court documents.
Unbelievable.
Do you really think it's fair to say walking down the street is the same as, like, I don't know, playing NFL football?
No, it's not.
I think that there's a bigger, I think there's a clear risk difference there.
Yeah, there's a reason that NFL players are shooting themselves in the chest and having their brains donated to the concussion settlement, right? People that are walking down the street aren't ordinarily doing that. Yeah, so it's the league is just, it's slimy. The business side of the league is slimy. Fortunately for them, they have an incredible product. The sports side of it is great, but the business side of it is just awful.
Well, and if you're an NFL owner, you know how protected you are. Remember everything that happened with Dan Snyder and Roger Goodell when he was questioned about that. He says, I don't have the authority to remove him. And as an NFL owner, they would have to all come together. There had to be a majority vote of fellow owners. And he does have the ability, though, to recommend a vote, but he doesn't have anything else to do other than that. So they have so much power, and he's just kind of there to somewhat be their voice. But that's why I do think that he should still have a press conference where he addresses everything. Because even if he lies, he knows that. Everybody knows that. So why not just go ahead and go out there and control whatever narrative you want to control?
That's the thing. He's really elusive anyway. He is good at that. When he is asked difficult questions, he's very elusive. So he's good at that. That's Brooke. I'm Randy. And so, we'll have the press conference today, and we won't air any of it tomorrow for you here on 101 ESPN because it's probably a lie. Coming up next, we've got Take It or Leave It. Get your text into the Air Comfort Service text line, 314-399-9646, 314-399. Yo-ho! Tioli next for you on 101 ESPN. Hey, if you're in the market for a new vehicle, I want you to go to AutoLoanPro.com and download their game plan playbook. It'll make such a big difference for you as you traverse the process of getting a new vehicle, because at AutoLoanPro.com, they're going to get you the best rate. They're going to get you the best loan. They're going to get you the lowest payment that is available for you. And, oh, by the way, if you're shopping for a vehicle but don't know exactly what you want yet, you can get a new vehicle from Auto Loan Pro, an Acura, a Honda. They have all kinds of used vehicles. They even have cars and trucks under $10,000. It'll make life so much easier for you. If you've had problems with your credit, don't worry about it. If you can make a payment, Auto Loan Pro can get you a loan with little to no money down, and they're going to work hard with over 50 lenders to make sure that you get the very best financing. If you're financing a new vehicle, there's one thing to know. Choose the Auto Loan Pro at AutoLoanPro.com, and it's not just a new vehicle. It's new vehicles, used vehicles, whatever you are in the market for, get the best payment at AutoLoanPro.com.
Take it or leave it.
Want to say something? Want to put it out there? If you like it, you can take it. If you don't, send it right back.
Get your text into 314-399-9646 and give us your take it or leave it.
Brought to you by Gloria Lou Realty. Visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com and start packing.
That's my final offer. Take it or leave it.
Get your text in if you want to participate in Tioli. 314-399-9646. 314-399-YO-HO. Brooke, Matthew, Randy, and Brooke over the weekend. Don't know if you saw the quotes from Rick Pitino, but we have talked a lot about how ridiculous the current enforcement of name, image, and likeness and the transfer portal is by the NCAA. And on the heels of the states of Tennessee and Virginia filing lawsuits against the NCAA, St. John's coach Rick Pitino, several-time national champion, said, quote, "The enforcement staff of the NCAA needs to go away. We need to stop all the hypocrisy of NIL. We need to stop it because they can't stop it. Whether I'm for it or against it doesn't matter. These are professional athletes. Get professionally paid. It's not going away. You can't try to get loopholes because they take you to court." That's why I say, so I'm not knocking the enforcement staff. They're going to get taken to court every time they try to make a rule. So it's a tough time in college basketball right now. And for us, you can't really build programs and a culture because everybody leaves. Take it or leave it. The last sentence is the most important. It's impossible to build a program in college basketball anymore.
Impossible to build one.
Yeah, because you can't keep players for 4 years like Tom Izzo and Pitino and Travis Ford, where you have a group of juniors and seniors that know how to play within your system.
I think that I might actually have to take that. I think that makes a lot of sense, especially in college basketball. The transfer portal, I know that it's a lot in football as well, in college football, but the fact that you have such limited spaces on a team, I think that you notice it even more so, where it can completely change the culture of that team and everything that they're building right there. So I'm going to have to take it for that one because it is, I think, affecting a lot of different things. I don't know what you can do to change the transfer portal. And when he's talking about NCAA too, something has to give there because at this point, that's just the NCAA trying to stay relevant.
Well, if you make college athletes employees, sign them to 3-year contracts. So sign them that okay, you sign at St. Louis University, and for your college career, you're playing at St. Louis University. You're an employee of the university. That's the way to do it.
And then does that mean that there will be a certain salary and you can't go over that?
You could have a salary cap. It could be no different than the National Hockey League, where you're Robert Thomas. You sign an 8-year contract. You're in there for 8 years. Now, obviously, the contracts here are going to be 3 years because a really good college basketball player is going to be around for 3 years. And maybe you do it so it's guaranteed. So you get your money and your education. But that's the only way to solve the problem, is to make athletes employees so that they're under contract and they can't go away of their own free will.
But will it ever truly go away is my question. So say that does happen and the NCAA basically goes by the wayside and you start to make players employees, then you're going to have to create a players union so they can advocate. And then the union's constantly going to be battling with whatever entity they will be battling against if the NCAA is still around in some form or fashion. So this just feels like it's a never-ending story.
That's fine. Yeah, it's yes, players would have to have a union, and that's if we're going to have a salary cap, we have to have a salary floor. There have to be rules in place. Hey, you know what? They need benefits. So yeah, there's got to be that. But the money in college sports is the money for college football is as big as the money is in baseball, almost as big as it is in the NBA. So they've got the money. And look at all the money the NCAA has stowed away over the years with their TV contracts. So there's money there for them to do it.
And then who will get the salary? Will it be all college student athletes?
Yes. Yeah, that's the only way to do it.
Wow. That would definitely change everything with it. I mean, we're basically getting to that point, but I can just see how this will continue to be a battle no matter what result that you're trying to get out of this.
Well, there are still people in the NCAA, which, by the way, the NCAA is made up of the schools, the presidents of the schools. And there are still people there that are worried about the idea of athletes becoming employees. But if you want to get rid of the transfer portal and NIL, the only way you can do it is to have the players under contract to specific universities.
I could see that. So take it or leave it. This weekend, we had a little switcheroo from Cliff Kingsbury, where he was going to go to the Raiders, and then all of a sudden he's going to the Commanders. But lost to all this is what's happening to Eric Bieniemy. So take it or leave it. He should go to the Steelers as their passing game coordinator.
Yeah, I'll take that. Yeah, I can't believe that Eric Bieniemy, as accomplished as he is as a coach, and with the accolades that he's been provided by Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, I can't figure out why teams don't want him. And he made the Commanders' offense better this year with essentially the same group of players. Sam Howell was their quarterback. I wonder what it is about him that teams don't want to hire him. It's really weird to me. Do you feel like he got a fair shot with the Commanders? Enough time? Well, no, but they changed head coaches, so I kind of get that. I don't know if Ron Rivera wanted him, but the new ownership, I believe he was hired before the Josh Harris group took over. So I don't know. And maybe he doesn't think much. Did you see the Ben Johnson quotes about them, that he thinks they're basketball people? But I would hope that Eric Bieniemy would get an opportunity somewhere where there's a level of legitimacy to the job that he has, not trying to prop up Sam Howell. All right, your texts, Matthew, what do we got?
Take it or leave it. The best team in the XFL plays the worst team in the NFL, and the XFL wins, they get relegated. If the XFL wins, they get promoted, and the NFL team gets relegated. In a perfect world, I'd take it all day.
I would take it, too. The problem would be that the XFL team would probably lose by 40.
Yeah. No, really?
Yeah.
Okay, the worst team, the Panthers. They had to face the best team in the XFL, this XFL-USFL merger, versus the Panthers.
The XFL team would get drilled.
Panthers minus 21.5.
That you don't think it'd be higher? I think it might be 4 touchdowns.
Damn.
Right? I mean, these are
probably
guys. These are the players that got cut by the NFL.
It'd be a great story for
also, then on the realistic side, Randy, what do you think an expansion fee would be right now for an NFL team?
Oh, I would say $4 billion. Wouldn't you think?
Yeah, which is just, ladies and gentlemen, it's never going to happen in American sports.
But it'd be fun. It would be fun.
I would watch it.
There's not
I would watch it 100%.
American sport that will ever have promotion relegation.
No.
Just accept it now and move past it. It'll make your life a brighter place.
Yeah. People would always talk about when Alabama under Saban was at their peak and the Browns were at their worst. People would say, well, Alabama could beat the Browns. Well, the Browns have 53 players that are drafted by the NFL. The Alabama Crimson Tide might have 25 on their roster that are going to get drafted by the NFL. It's no comparison.
And don't forget, when he was at Alabama, Richardson looked explosive. And then he got to the NFL, and you saw what he actually was compared to everyone else.
Yeah.
That's the game, ladies and gentlemen.
Yep.
Take it or leave it. The UFL is screwing up a chance to open the season with the Battlehawks at home.
Yeah, I'll take that.
I'll take it.
I'm going to take it too. And we can discuss this at the Rush Hour Reset, but the schedule did come out, and sadly, they are going to be starting on the road. But then they will be back here April 6th to face the Renegades.
Yeah, so the Arlington Renegades. We got to come up with a. We desperately need a rival because the hated Vipers are gone now.
There it is. Take it or leave it. There is no way you can see it right now where football doesn't separate from the rest of the sports in the NCAA.
Totally take it.
I'm going to take that.
It's already done.
It's a fait accompli at this point. It's happening at some point.
If you aren't aware of it right now, the Power Four runs the college football playoff. The NCAA has nothing to do and gets no money from the college football playoff. So that separation has already occurred, but it will become more pronounced. And whether or not football wants to support the other sports, I don't know. But that'll be a really interesting watershed moment in college athletics.
I also just find it hard to believe, because you're talking about that and how much money that they make, I don't see how revenue sharing in general is going to work out.
It's going to be hard to do. Is a program like Texas A&M, a program like Tennessee, going to want to share with BYU?
Probably not.
Right?
It's not going to happen.
No, and it's going to be tough. Yeah.
There's so many obstacles. Yeah. Take it or leave it. Dome is full on opening weekend.
Oh, take it.
Take it.
66,000.
I'm going to take it.
Yep.
The Battle Dome,
Is the
which
law.
is just
March 30th. I'll be there.
That's my favorite thing about the second season was them officially taking the Battle Dome nickname and running with it. That's when your franchise takes something that the fans come up with. That's a good thing. That's always a good thing in my opinion.
Okay, let me give you one more. If you have one on the text line, go ahead. Otherwise, I'm going to. I need 10 seconds here.
You need 10 seconds right now?
Yeah. But hold on. I can give it to you right now. Okay. Okay, guys. Take it or leave it. When the Cardinals play the Dodgers on March 30th, the Battlehawks will get higher TV ratings in St. Louis.
Whoa. I'm going to have, really?
I'm taking football.
Higher TV ratings?
In St. Louis.
Yeah, I'm taking it.
You don't think that people want to tune in and watch the opening weekend?
I think they will. But last year there was and I don't know what City does on March 30th either. But when City went head to head against the Cardinals, they beat them in the TV ratings. Is City playing on the 30th? Now that'll probably be an Apple contest.
On March 30th?
Yes.
Yes, they actually, I believe that is an away game at Real Salt Lake.
Okay, so head to head, and you've got. Let me double check. I think the Battlehawks is a day game. They're a 3:00 start. The Cardinals are 8:10, and then City's probably playing at the same time. But I'm going to say that on that date, when all three teams play, that the Battlehawks have the best TV ratings in town.
I'll take it, just for the fun of it. Because caca is the law, Randy.
Yep.
And you have to follow that.
And by the way, Saturday, March 30th, on Big Fox, too, on the 2 Fox here in town.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. Thank you, Matthew.
Thank you, Randy.
And thank you very much for your text. We do appreciate it. Coming up, Mookie Betts is kind of a furred with the Dodgers season. We'll tell you why, and then we'll tell you why he might not need to be. That's next on 101 ESPN. Hey, have you ever noticed that when you walk into somebody's home or a business, you notice their floors first? You say, oh, those are cool floors. They are the first thing you notice. And other than your walls, which you can paint, your floors take up the most space in the home. Well, new floors would dramatically change the look of your home, and that's why you need to go to Ambassador Midwest Floor. Most people replace their floors every 7 to 10 years, but this is Randy suggesting you do it right and visit Ambassador Midwest Floor. You can find the one nearest you at ambassadorfloor.com. And there are cheap floors out there from the box stores, but they don't look like, and the most importantly, they don't have the same ability to withstand the rigors of daily work and life that Ambassador floors do. Ambassador Midwest Floor displays the largest selection so that you can choose from the latest styles that are pet-friendly, stain-proof, and waterproof. Celebrate the new year with new floors. Browse the finest collection of Shaw floors, hardwood, carpet, and luxury plank at Ambassador Midwest Floor, and save up to $500 on all Shaw floors during their New Year, New Floor sale. Do it yourself or get the finest installation from their employee team of over 100 master craftsmen, certified in the latest flooring technology. Love your floors and experience more at Ambassador Midwest Floor.
Top stories. It's the Opening Drive's Fresh Take.
How would you define success in 2024 for this team?
I mean, we just go out and we play our game. I mean, obviously, we're trying to win a World Series. You know, it's World Series or nothing. You know, we're all trying to do the same thing, and so, but we can't add extra pressure to do it. You know, I think adding extra pressure only does more harm than good. I think we just got to play the same game we're going to play. You know, it's going to be tough. I mean, every game is going to be the other team's World Series. I mean, it is what it is. It's what we signed up for. You know, and so we have to embrace that, and then we got to go attack and be who we on paper are.
That was Mookie Betts at Dodger Fest this weekend. And Brandy, did you hear that? What he just said there?
Yeah.
He said,
we're other teams' World Series?
Other teams' World Series. Randy, it is just 5 days into February. Mm-hmm. Did he just give the rest of Major League Baseball bulletin board material for the rest of the season?
Yes. And because of what the Dodgers have spent and because of the talent that they have with Mookie Betts and with Ohtani and with Yoshi and some of the other players that they have brought in, Freddie Freeman, they have a lot of talent there. And mainly because of their outrageous payroll, they are going to be thought of by many teams, and especially teams that don't have substantial payrolls. They're going to be thought of as that team's World Series. If the Pirates beat the Dodgers 2 out of 3, that will be the Pirates World Championship, right? That's just the way they are. If the Royals, if they win one game against the Dodgers, they'll be happy. That'll be the World Series for the Angels. There will be a lot of teams that will be their World Series. There are other teams that have a legitimate chance to go to and win the World Series that aren't worried about the Dodgers. The Rangers are not going to look at the Dodgers as their World Series. The Rangers are going to look at the World Series as their World Series.
Well, and we've talked about just how fluky the playoffs are in general. The Diamondbacks, I don't think anybody was expecting them to be in that position, especially with their payroll, with the amount of wins that they had during the regular season. The Dodgers, over the years, they've had this. They've had a lot of big star players there, and they do really well during the regular season. And then what happens after that, Randy?
They tend to fall apart. And since 1988, aside from the 60-game COVID season, they have not won a world championship. And there is absolutely, believe it or not, randomness to the postseason. And for me, the Dodgers and Yankees are exhibits A and B. The fact that the Dodgers haven't won a full season world championship since 1988, the fact that the Yankees haven't even been in a World Series since 2009 shows me that there is a level of randomness to the postseason that cannot be controlled.
And they spent over $1 billion combined on bringing in Yoshinobu Yamamoto and Shohei Ohtani. With Shohei Ohtani, you hope that everything will be fine with him with his injury going to the season. But is he necessarily wrong in what he's saying?
No. In terms of Mookie Betts, no. Because teams are looking at the $1 billion and saying, that's the team that we want to beat. I really question that team. Now, they have Walker Buehler coming back, and Walker Buehler is going to have to work his way back into being a great major league pitcher again. I have no doubt that he will. Tyler Glasnow, his career high is 120 innings. Yamamoto has thrown on 5 days rest for his entire career. He's worked with a 6-man rotation in Japan. So I wonder, and maybe they're going to go with a 6-man rotation there. They just signed another pitcher last week, didn't they? They signed another starting pitcher. But I just wonder if the Dodgers, even with all the money they're spending, are going to be able to be as successful as the payroll would lead you to believe they can be.
We haven't seen that recently, right? We haven't seen an example of that where you could say, oh, you spent a lot of money and it worked out for you. Now, the Rangers did spend a lot of money over the off seasons prior to when they won the World Series. So I guess you could argue that it could work out in that way, but we saw it fall apart for the Mets. We saw it fall apart for whatever happened with the Padres. That was crazy, where this could possibly, not saying that this will be the case, but don't you remember going into last season, Fernando Tatis Jr., what did he say? He said that the Padres are going to win it all.
Yep. Yeah.
And what happened there?
There's only one team that wins it all at the end. By the way, James Paxton, the left-hander, was the other starter that the Dodgers signed, and James Paxton has not exactly been the iron horse in a starting rotation for the last 6 or 7 years of his career. So for me, there is no guarantee that the Dodgers are going to win this thing. Are they going to win 100 games? Yes. But once we get to October and the chips are down, I have to question whether or not they can do it, because they haven't done it over a 162-game season.
Well, and you mentioned, in 2020, you put an asterisk next to that, don't you?
Yeah, because think about it this way. In 2015, maybe it was 2016, at the All-Star break, after 90 games, the Giants had the best record in baseball. After the All-Star break, they had the worst record in baseball. That's why we have this adage that baseball is a marathon and not a sprint, because the Dodgers were able to win the sprint, but there's a lot that goes into winning things over 162 games and then winning in the playoffs. And I just don't think that until they prove it to me that the Dodgers are an absolute lock to win it all.
Doesn't it feel like, though, when he's talking about the pressure, and I think that he is right, that every single team, when they come to town or when they're going to LA, they're going to look at this. This is huge because you have so many superstars on that team. Doesn't it feel like if they don't win the World Series this year or even the next season, whatever they're trying to accomplish, that it would fall short of expectations? Because you have Shohei Ohtani, and then when Shohei's ready to be fully back on the mound, then you'll have him available. You have Yamamoto, the star Japanese pitcher that everybody is so excited to see. You have all these different pieces in place that it feels like anything short of winning a World Series will be way below expectations after spending over $1 billion on a combined offseason.
But it's been that way since 2012.
It has.
And they've been disappointed a lot. Yeah, I really love what they do, and I love if there's a team that does analytics and technology best, it's the Dodgers. But for whatever reason, at the end of the season, it doesn't seem to work for them.
I want to get your reaction to this text. From the 3 and 4, that Dodger blue is starting to look a lot like Cowboys blue. Now, of course, in the NFL, there's a salary floor and salary cap, but I kind of get what they're saying, Randy.
I do too. Yeah, it's one thing to have the flash and have the style, and the Dodgers have the flash and they have the style. But at the end of the day, don't you want substance? Isn't it like whose last 14 years would you rather have, the Dodgers or the Giants?
Oh, without a question.
Yeah,
yes.
It's not like the Giants only won one World Series. They won 3. Now,
exactly.
They've had some really rugged years.
They have,
right?
Yes.
But I think if you're a Dodger
overall,
fan,
body of work,
Yep.
yes, 100%.
No doubt. And if you're a Dodger fan and you, with all that money spent, you'd like to have at least one legitimate World Championship.
I guess we'll see. He gave them all bulletin board material. Well, that's Randy. I'm Brooke. Coming up, we're going to head to the celebrity line to talk to Kerbs about the NHL All-Star Weekend. That's coming up next on 101 ESPN.
Hey, if you're planning for Sunday and you're going to have that party, you can get the to-go trashed wings, the best wings in town at Fenton Bar and Grill. You can learn more by going to FentonBarandGrill.com, get their number, and call and make that order before Sunday because you want to have the best trashed wings. And you know what? You should get some of that golden sauce, their award-winning golden sauce on the side from Fenton Bar and Grill. 60 wings and a free bottle of golden sauce special when you call the Fenton Bar and Grill for their big game special with trashed wings. And by the way, they're going to be open to watch the game with their Super Sunday staff. Tara, Rachel, and Aaron are going to be there along with Franny and Maddie and Jill. The whole gang is going to be on hand, and you will have a great time if you want to watch the big game coming up Sunday at the Fenton Bar and Grill. Easy to get to on Rudder Road in Fenton. And when you stop by today, they're going to have their fantastic meatloaf special, great lunch specials throughout the week, great people that you're going to enjoy being served by, and you'll have a lot of fun. It's always a lot of fun when you go to the Fenton Bar and Grill. Learn more at FentonBarandGrill.com, and when you stop by, tell them Randy sent you.
Well, it's a Monday morning, folks, and the last thing you're going to want to do is deal with your furnace, especially if it stays cold outside. I've got some good news for you. Classic Air Care is there to help you. They're going to take the stress away from you. They're going to make sure that your furnace gets up and running and that your service is done quickly as well. Check out some of these reviews, and they've got amazing reviews on Google Reviews. Vince, the technician, was very polite and timely. Took his time to answer any and all questions we had. Also made sure we completely understood the service he provided. Great guy working for a great company. Excellent experience. How about this one from Linda? They were able to fix our older air AC unit. Very good service. Technician was very professional. This company also installed a new furnace a few years ago. That's from Linda. So that's a repeat customer. When you call Classic Air Care, you're calling your neighbors, you're calling people that live around you. They care about the neighborhood. They care about the service. They care about the name of their company. And when they do that, they're going to care about you. And that's because they're extremely well taken care of by the folks at Classic Air Care. So give them a call at 742-8098. Or if you like to book online, they can book online appointments as well. You're in great hands with Classic Air Care, and you can go online, check them out at classicaircare.com.
Time for Curbside with the voice of the Blues, Chris Kerber. Brought to you by Scott Lee Heating Company, a proud Mitsubishi Electric elite contractor.
Brooke Grimsley, Randy Carricker, and Chris Kerber joins us now. Kerbs, during that break, I got a spam call on my phone, and I answered it, and I said, is this spam? And the guy never stopped talking, so I hung up on him and blocked the call. Do you ever get spam calls on your phone?
Dude, it drives me nuts. Get them all the time. And sometimes it is fun to mess with. If you do get them and they actually do reply to you, every now and then if you answer one and you just start messing with them and start asking them weird questions, you know, like, what, you called me? I thought you just wanted to talk.
Yeah, one of the things I like to do is if the caller ID says spam likely, I always like to answer by saying, hey, spam, what's up?
I'll tell you the one that gets you. The one that gets you, the amount of spam email.
Oh, man.
Holy moly.
Yes.
I got 500 emails. Like over the weekend, I got 500 emails to my work account.
I'd like the government to do me a favor. Forget about the border and just fix spam email.
There you go. Yeah. Build a wall against spam email.
I'm for this. I'll vote for that.
Or how about this? I was thinking about this one over the weekend with the amount of spam email that was coming in. How about this? Make the law so that we have to opt in. Like, if we actually care about privacy, right? This one's actually might not be a joke. This one's actually, if we actually care about privacy, how about with apps and email, you have to opt in for companies to be able to get your data, not opt out.
I like that idea a lot. I think that's a great idea.
Ooh, I do like that a lot.
If you really care about privacy, that's the way it should be. You should be able to opt in rather than you have to read through everything to opt out.
Kerbs for president. I'll vote for you, Kerbs, especially if that's what your stance is on. you got my vote because I get so many spam emails. Well, Kerbs, I want to ask you about this past weekend, NHL All-Star Weekend. Of course, Robert Thomas, the Blues representative there. What did you think of the weekend and Robert Thomas?
Well, I think he had a good time. I think it was a good showing for him. I'm glad that next year they're not doing an All-Star Game and they're doing the Four Nations tournament. And I'm also glad that over the weekend they announced that that the NHL players will be going back to the Olympics for 26 and for 30. So I think that's good stuff. The challenge for me, if I'm just being bluntly honest with it, is when you bring the players that you bring to the All-Star Game, which is in so many ways the best of the best, and I understand that some players are left off it, right? You don't really, in the All-Star Game part of it, you don't really get to see the true skill and speed of these guys and what the game is about. And you have to accept that. I mean, it is an exhibition, right? And that's why I think the skills competition to me is more interesting than the game itself. Just because the game itself doesn't, and it's not the 3-on-3. People that say the 3-on-3 isn't hockey. No, 3-on-3 could be hockey. I mean, a 4-on-3 could be hockey. 3-on-3 could be hockey, right? Mm-hmm. And so, and I don't mind it with we see 3-on-3 in overtime, which isn't a bad thing. I don't mind it. I don't mind it. It's just you've got to defend in the game a little bit and stuff. So I don't know that it's a great representation of just how skilled these guys are. And by the way, if you're a gambler, okay, if you didn't pick Austin Matthews to be the MVP of the All-Star Game a week before the All-Star Game, you missed out on a huge opportunity.
Yeah, right. No doubt. Curbs, the Blues coming up will, after Winnipeg, they'll play Buffalo, and later on they'll get the Canadians too. We're obviously spoiled hockey fans. We've had a lot of success to watch here in St. Louis. Buffalo, Montreal, Winnipeg coming up on the road. Why do you think it is that franchises like Buffalo and especially Montreal just can't get it right?
That's it, man. I think this is one of the fascinating. I think this is one of the fascinating topics in sports, Randy. And you can throw in the Kansas City Royals, the Pittsburgh Pirates. Mm-hmm. You know, you could throw in NFL franchises in there. You know, Detroit for the longest of time.
Our
right?
Cardinals.
Until this year, the Cardinals a great one. You know, and yeah, every now and then, and hell, for that matter, let's just throw in the Cubs.
Yep.
You know, because I mean, yeah, they got their one, and then they went right back to being the Cubs. So, you know, to me, it comes down to a couple things. Number one, a team like Buffalo, right? They had a young general manager and a good guy, and Kevin Adams, right? Mm-hmm. But I don't know that they put the budget in place for him to surround himself with even more people. Look at how many quality people that Doug Armstrong has surrounded himself with. I mean, even guys like Tim Taylor's been with the team 12 or 13 years. Dave Taylor, Peter Chiarelli, right? I mean, you've got to surround yourself with more. It takes a lot to do that. That's number one. But number two, the consistent thing that you can see, and I'll go with the Edmonton Oilers prior to their current run that they're on. We'll go the Montreal Canadiens, the Buffalo Sabres, and these other franchises like this. They haven't surrounded the young draft picks with veteran players. Mm-hmm. And you can't win. David Perron said, so David Perron has spent a little bit of time in Edmonton, right? And then when he came back to St. Louis, we were talking to him before the Blues played the Edmonton Oilers. And this is something to keep in mind. He goes, the problem that one of the problems the Edmonton Oilers have is when you're so top heavy with Draisaitl and McDavid. And he didn't mean top heavy in terms of money being spent, all right, which has handcuffed a team like the Toronto Maple Leafs. He talked about just the amount of ice time. He goes, when you're constantly going to those guys, nobody else on the team is getting ice time in certain times of learning how to play in certain situations. So all these other young players, like, you're not going out with 2 minutes on the power play. You're going out with 30 seconds. You're not going out there in the final couple minutes of a game. And he goes, and it really slowed the development down of some of those other players in Edmonton. So there are factors like that keep these teams down. And then finally, and let's look at the Columbus Blue Jackets, mm-hmm. right, who the Blues just played and unfortunately lost to. 23 years in the league, they've made the playoffs 6 times, been past the first round once. And if you go back and you look at their drafting since day one in the league, you can make a case that they've only drafted 4 impactful players in the first round in 23 years.
Wow.
And by impactful players, I originally, when I went down that rabbit hole, I looked at it, Randy, and I said, hey, let's say 200 games. And I had to bump it up to like 300 games for the franchise. So even though they originally drafted like a Jacob Voracek, they traded him before he was an impactful player. So you're looking at Rastislav Klesla, you're looking at their first overall pick and Rick Nash in their second year, right? And then the other 2 were Wenberg and the other one that's now playing for Seattle. So drafting is a key part of this. I love the topic, as you can tell. Drafting is the key, and then how you develop it. I think it's amazing how franchises can't get it right for decades.
And let's spend 30 seconds here going back to the staff, because when Jarmo left here, we all thought, okay, Jarmo's going to do a great job, and they're going to be built up like the Blues were here, because Jarmo drafted so many impactful guys. But it goes back to the staff, right, and the scouts and the other people, the ancillary people that you need to have a program rather than just a guy drafting players.
Jarmo's ability to read the draft and do it was excellent. The Blues eventually won a Stanley Cup because of what Jarmo did. Mm-hmm. And yes, it was even drafting the players that weren't here any longer, like Oshie and Backus and those guys. Now, the difference is, though, with him running his own show, he's been in Columbus now for 10 years, all right? And the players that they have drafted recently in the last couple of years are going to change that narrative that I just mentioned. You know, eventually when the Sillinger comes along for Adam Fantilli, who was out, injured prior to playing against the Blues in the last game. So they do have some good players coming. But the difference is then when you're running your own show, they made some moves, right? Well, we're going to try and speed some things up. So they went out and they got Artemi Panarin, and then Artemi Panarin didn't want to stay. They made that and then they've had other players that you make the move. You draft a Pierre-Luc Dubois, doesn't quite work. You trade him for Patrick Laine. Laine's a good player, but hasn't been consistent for him. Johnny Gaudreau has not been good as a free agent signing for them just yet. There are things like that where it's been hard. And then, of course, the fiasco with the head coaching situation at the beginning of this year was catastrophic for them. So they haven't helped themselves with other decisions, but it's taken a while for I think it's going to be another couple of years before you see Yarmo's drafting impact with the Columbus Blue Jackets. But you're right, it is more than that. It takes that kind of. Boy, it takes longevity and loyalty and some real shrewdness to do this. But you've seen the LA Kings become prominent again, although they have faltered of late and fired a coach. Go look at what the Boston Bruins did after winning the Cup in 11, going back to the final in 13, right? Made the playoffs in 14 and then missed the playoffs for 2 years. And look at the 2 drafts they did, and then they came back to prominence because of the core. I think what the Boston Bruins did is something that is similar to what the St. Louis Blues are trying to accomplish.
Curbs, the trade deadline is coming up in March, and I know that these next couple of weeks will really dictate what Doug Armstrong decides to do. But I just keep seeing over and over again, of course, a lot of these blogs and just kind of the rumor mills, they just put names out there, players that they would like to see moved, go to certain teams, different things like that. But I keep seeing Colton Parayko's name around. Now, I know he has a no-trade clause, so that would have to be something in play. But do you see any reason or scenario where the Blues would trade Colton Parayko?
No, what I'd recommend is those are the blogs we stop reading. No, I don't. I cannot imagine. Okay, and I'm going to go back to what we were just talking about. If you are serious as an organization about making this turnaround, this retooling, a quick one, and look, you've got 33 games to go and you're sitting in a playoff spot. When the Blues play on Friday against Buffalo, Buffalo will have played one game. Buffalo plays tomorrow, right? But the Blues will still be in the playoff spot because L.A., St. Louis, Nashville, Seattle, none of those teams play until Friday. You've got 33 games to go, and then you've got 14 games prior to the trade deadline. The moment you trade a 6'6" defenseman that can skate, that can dominate, that can defend, that can play every single minute at even strength against the other team's top lines and do it well, and you're seeing it again this year, that's the moment you're looking for that. And the one thing the Blues do not have, especially now that you're seeing Kessel up here playing, they don't have, to go three amigos here, they don't have a plethora of defensemen, right, that are, waiting to knock on the door and come in. And it takes a while to develop defensemen. It takes 6, 7, 8, 9 years for a defenseman to really be the dominant force. Yeah, you've got your outliers in there, okay? And don't forget Parayko was still dominant and won a Stanley Cup in year 4, right? So, no, there are a couple guys in my book that if you are serious about making this turnaround a fairly quick one that are untouchable, he's one of them. Jordan Binnington's another one of them. I can't imagine what that package would have to look like, to make a deal for him along those kind of lines. And there's 14 games to go before the trade deadline. Doug Armstrong is in a difficult spot in terms of, I think he knows where his team is at right now. You look at the moves that the other teams have made, like Vancouver getting Lindholm. You got Monahan going to Winnipeg. Teams are loading up on the top end. What does that mean? That's going to keep Doug, and we know he can be very realistic in his approach. But at the same time, there's still value in young players playing meaningful games in late March and April. There's value in playoffs for the young games. So there's some UFAs the Blues have that I would expect them to take calls on and potentially move no matter what, because I don't know that they're part of the future of this organization. But having said that, there's still a lot of important hockey to play here. And that big number 55, to me, if you're asking me right now, no, he isn't going anywhere.
I 100% agree with you. I think that he's part of your core that is untouchable.
Curbs, always great to have you with us. Thank you, sir. Are you enjoying this little respite from doing games? I guess it's not an overall respite because you told us last week you were going to be busy, but what about the trips? Has the travel been good, and has the respite from doing games been fun?
No, it's been fantastic. Saw Gracie spent a couple days down in Louisville. Learned a little bit more about some bourbons during some downtime while she was in classes. So that is good. That's a fun hobby. and the stuff I do with Randall's is important there too. So, and then I'm looking forward to tomorrow, Randy. College visits with your kids, as you can attest to, they're educational, they're learning, but when you get to see your kids' minds expand and the eyes open, and sometimes those college visits are just fantastic, just individual time with the kids. So we're going to go check out UMKC tomorrow, actually, and Wednesday with Gabby, and I'm looking very forward to that. It's been a great break.
Have fun, Kerbs. Thanks so much. We'll talk to you later.
All right, guys. Have a great week.
You too. That's Chris Kerber, the voice of the Blues here on 101 ESPN. I thoroughly enjoyed the trip to Cal Santa Barbara. To visit that. That was good.
How much did you enjoy that one, Brady?
Well, we did Cal Santa Barbara, UCLA, and San Diego State on one trip. It was fun. It was, and there was no way Katie was going to go there, as it turns out, because it wound up being too far away from home. But it was a fun trip to visit those schools.
It's like a mini vacation.
Kind of, yeah. That's
kind
what
of.
Yeah, and then Patrick visited Arizona State twice. So, but he wound up being a second choice.
They're picking like some warmer areas, weren't they?
Oh, babe, I have plans, man. I have plans for Patrick.
You were like, and I'll go visit you and golf a little bit.
That was going to happen.
You won't have to worry about me that much.
Yeah, that was going to happen, but it didn't. I'm assuming, Matthew, that we need a fighter, huh?
Indeed, that's how the game works.
Okay, well, what you need to do then is text in to the Air Comfort Service text line, 314-399-9646, 314-399-YO-HO, with your name and the word fight, and perhaps Matthew will pick you to fight me next on 101 ESPN.
This is Rocky with your Sports Center update, brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. Over the weekend, you had both the Pro Bowl for the NFL and the NHL All-Star Game, and who really cares about the scores there? Also over the weekend in college basketball, another rough weekend for your teams in the state of Missouri, and Illinois gets a big win there as St. Louis loses to Fordham 67-65. St. Louis has lost 8 of their last 9, while Missouri falls to 0-9 in the SEC with a 68-61 loss to Vanderbilt. Again, Illinois did get a win, though. Number 14 in the nation wins 87-84 over Nebraska. That is your Sports Center update, brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, an independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
Welcome to the fight. In the red corner, Average Joe Listener. And in the blue corner, the undisputed king of morning drive. Please welcome Randy Carricker.
Welcome back to the opening drive. Brooke Grimsley here alongside Randy Carricker. Danny Mack will be back with us tomorrow, but it is time for the fight, and our fighter today is John. John, how are you doing?
I'm well. How are you, Brooke?
I'm doing great. Is this your first time facing Randy in the fight?
Yeah, I've just started trying to get through, I guess, about a month ago, beginning of the year.
Yeah, I see on the text chain right now, John fight, John fight, John fight, and finally, today is the day, John.
Yeah, I've been trying for about a week or so, yeah.
All right, you ready for question number 1 and take on Randy?
Yeah, let's go.
Question number 1. Happy birthday to St. Louis native Lawrence Maroney. Before being drafted by the Patriots in the first round, where did he play his college ball at? Was it Penn State, Pittsburgh, or Minnesota?
Minnesota. I have no idea.
Half of the Steelers' 6 Super Bowl MVPs were won by wide receivers. Hines Ward, Santonio Holmes, and who else? Was it Lynn Swann, Antoine Randall, or John Stallworth?
I think it was Lynn Swann.
Question number 3. During the Cardinals' 2006 season, which starting pitcher was cut after making 13 starts in the first half of the season? Was it Sidney Ponson, Kip Wells, or Todd Wellermeyer?
Skip Wells. I don't remember that either.
All right, and most well-known for his Packers run, Vince Lombardi took over control of which team for 1 year in 1969? Was that the Baltimore Colts, the Washington Redskins, or the New York Giants?
I remember that. That was the Redskins.
All right, we will double-check our score, and we will bring in Randy Carricker.
All right, how are you feeling, John? It seems like you were a little nervous about some of them, but how are you feeling after that?
50-50.
50-50?
I think the only advantage I have, I'm older than Randy, so I remember a lot of stuff from the 60s.
Oh, okay. So you've been around. You know how Randy has that cut where he says, I've been around, you know? You've also
I've
been
been around longer than him.
Here he comes in with his grapes right now. No drink today, Randy.
I just put it in the recycle.
Oh, okay.
He just polished off the Mountain Dew.
There you go. Mountain Dew today. So that means you need some caffeine.
That was because of the alarm beeping.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
and
yeah.
it kept you up a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
Randy, say hi to John. John saying that he's been around longer than you.
Oh, you've been around, you know. Hi, John. Good morning. How you doing?
I'm well. How are you, Randy? Yeah, I'm 71 years old, so I remember the 64 World Series.
Oh, there you go.
There you
awesome.
go.
Good. Thank you very much for
I was
listening.
12 years old then.
That's so cool. Thanks for listening. Thanks for playing. We appreciate it.
All right.
You're welcome.
Question
Thanks.
number 1,
Yes.
Randy. Happy birthday to St. Louis native Lawrence Maroney. Before being drafted by the Patriots in the first round, where did he play his college ball at?
He was a Minnesota Golden Gopher. Played in Normandy, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, and then wound up going to University of Minnesota. Very proud Golden Gopher. And then his teammate, Marion Barber, wound up with the Dallas Cowboys.
Tell you what, it was a couple tough years where you had to bring down a guy with dreads who ran hard, which you had to play Minnesota.
Number 39, yeah.
Half of the Steelers' 6 Super Bowl MVPs have been won by wide receivers. Hines Ward, Santonio Holmes, and who else?
And a lot of our favorite player growing up, or players, were members of the Pittsburgh Steelers because they won the 4 Super Bowls in 6 years. I'm going to say that that was number 88, Lynn Swann against the Cowboys. Was a Super Bowl MVP as a wide receiver.
Question number 3. During the Cardinals' 2006 season, which starting pitcher was cut after making 13 starts in the first half of the season?
So he would have been cut after they got Jeff Weaver. Made 13 starts. Brooke will use the lifeline here.
Okay. Sidney Ponson, Kip Wells, or Todd Wellemeyer?
I think I'm going to go with, I think Kip Wells came for 2007. Boy, he was horrific. But I think he came at the same time as Adam Kennedy in 07. And I don't think Wellmeyer got cut by the Cardinals at midseason, so I'm going to go with Sidney Ponson with that one. Sidney Ponson.
All right, Randy, and most well-known for his Packers run, Vince Lombardi took over control of which team for 1 year in 1969?
He took over the Washington Redskins, Matthew.
That was the last good move they made for about 40 years. No, I got Joe Gibbs. I got Joe Gibbs for a while there, too.
And let's see. George Allen was good for them. He took them to a Super Bowl.
Was really good for them. There
But people don't realize Vince Lombardi time is an important thing. You got to be 5 minutes early. But Vince Lombardi would have won with them. And was he 52 or 57 when he died?
57. I was about to ask, like, how different is football if Vince Lombardi lives to be like 85 instead of dying that young?
Yeah, it would have been dramatically different because that might have changed the Steelers dynasty.
Oh, yeah, right.
Because he knew what he was doing and still at that time had the respect of players. They would have wanted to come and play for him. Mm-hmm. And the Over-the-Hill gang probably never would have happened, although it would have been just as bad for the football Cardinals being in the NFC East. But, yeah, if he lives to 70, mm-hmm. and Lombardi can coach to 67, different league.
Completely different league. Well, we have a winner in today's fight to start off the week. Does Megamind come away with the win, or does Experience come out on top today? And do we get a win for John in the fight? It was a close one. Ring that bell.
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy!
The winner and still champion of the fight, Randy Carricker. The fight is driven by CarShield. Plans to fit any budget. Visit carshield.com today.
Uh-oh. Something wrong with my machine here. Here. Let me fix it. I can fix it right now. Here we go.
There we go. I was missing the air horns.
John, you heard Mr. Buck, but and that means that Randy hit the jack. Unfortunately, he beat you 4-3. You did so well today.
I missed the third question, right?
Yes, that's the one that got you. Absolutely right.
I could not remember that.
Yep.
And that's more recent.
Sorry about that, John. Let's go through those questions and answers. Happy birthday to SEL native Lawrence Maroney again from Normandy before being drafted, by the Patriots the first time. Where did he play his college ball? And one of the few Patriots windows. He was on the Patriots for 4 years, and they did not win a Super Bowl in that time. That bums me out. It's one of the small window there. Half of the Steelers' 6 Super Bowl MVPs were won by wide receivers: Hines Ward, Santonio Holmes, and Lynn Swann. Randy, do you know the other 3 Super Bowl MVPs off the top of your head?
I would say Big Ben, Bradshaw, and Franco?
2 for Bradshaw, 1 for Franco.
Oh, okay.
Because the 2 Big Ben ones are Hines Ward and Antonio Holmes.
Oh, got it. Okay.
During the Cardinals 2006 season was, in fact, Sidney Ponson, who had jumped out to a 5.46 ERA through his first 13 starts for the Cardinals. They got him out there. They got Weaver in there, and then went on to win a World Series that year. And most well-known for his Packers one, Vince Lombardi takes over in 1969 for the Redskins, and then, unfortunately, because of cancer, dies just a year later. So a 4-3 win for Randy Carricker in the fight today. John, thank you so much again for joining the show today.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, John. You did great.
Yep, and thank you very much for listening and being such a loyal participant in the show. It's John on 101 ESPN. Coming up, we played a little bit of Ollie Marmol's interview with Xavier Scruggs last week, but Ollie had some really interesting insights as he spoke to our buddy Xavier Scruggs. We're going to hear some of that next on 101 ESPN.
Hey everyone, it's Brooke here for Universal Windows Direct. Have you been surprised by an energy bill lately? I know that I have. And you start looking for ways to really cut down on your costs. Well, one way you probably didn't even realize is through your windows. And that's why I got connected with my guys over at Universal Windows Direct, where their windows keeps the cold air out. They have super spacer technology, which helps keep the edge of the glass warmer, holds the window seal longer, and makes the windows last up to 5 times longer than other Windows systems. If you call Universal Windows Direct today at 314-334-2522, they'll upgrade your new windows to triple pane glass for free. That's 3 layers of glass between you and the cold outside. Triple pane means extra protection from the elements so they can have consistent temperature in your home, which really helps with your energy. And when I was talking about energy efficiency, it helps with that as well. So call 314-334-2522 to schedule your free in-home estimate today. Like me, you'll be saying, I love my windows.
Quite a battle going on for the championship of the Missouri Valley Conference right now. Indiana State leading the way at 11-1 in the conference. Drake is 9-3. Bradley is 9-3, and they'll all be in town for Arch Madness, which returns to the Enterprise Center for a 30th consecutive year. Thursday, March 7th through Sunday, March 10th, and an automatic bid into the NCAA men's basketball tournament is on the line. It's been a tight race all year, and it's going to stay that way throughout. Now, there are a lot of notable local players that are going to be playing right here in St. Louis, including Nick Ellington of Murray State, who went to Cardinal Ritter. Vashans Kennard Davis Jr. is at SIU, and Donovan Clay of Missouri State. He's an Alton grad. Tickets on sale now, including a great deal with a family fun pack. All you need to do is go to archmadness.com, and you can get 4 single-session tickets, 4 large sodas, 4 regular popcorns, all for just $100. And you can see one of the great events on the St. Louis sports calendar and some great college basketball as we get ready for Arch Madness. It's a great event to bring the family to and enjoy a day of college hoops. Go to archmadness.com.
It's a big deal. Sonny Gray's a competitor. Yeah. He's wired in a way where he just wants to kill, and I love that. You look at Lance Lynn, similar personality. Mm-hmm. He is big on accountability. He's going to hold people to a certain standard. He has his way of doing it that works, and then give you everything I hear about this guy. I mean, he's a great clubhouse guy who's going to be super encouraging. He's going to bring guys alongside. But the biggest thing about the 3 of those specifically, and we brought in some guys, Rhea Trey, Robertson, you go down that list, but the big thing about those 3 in the starting rotation is they want to be great, but they have a passion for bringing others alongside with them.
That's the Cardinals skipper, Ollie Marmol, talking to Xavier Scruggs on his YouTube cast last week. And he is fired up about the 3 starting pitchers. And last year, those guys gave innings, although they did also allow a few hits. But here we are. We're close. The team's equipment trucks are going to depart Busch Stadium today for Jupiter. And then spring training will start next week. And Ollie should be excited about this spring training because they got him what he felt like he needed during the offseason. In addition to those 3 pitchers, it's a rebuilt bullpen with some flexibility, and the Cardinals have, at least their perception is, they have more leadership with a guy like Matt Carpenter back on the team. So Ollie is excited, and hopefully the Cardinals will be able to get back to what they expect to be, which is a playoff team.
I'm excited to see what Sonny Gray looks like and the storylines that will emerge
like 5'10", 190.
Randy, I'm not talking about his height.
Okay.
Why do you always bring up his height? Not everybody is tall. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
He does other really good things.
Chris Carpenter's 6'6".
And that's nice.
Yeah.
That is very, very nice. I would like to have that, of course. But at the same time, I am excited to see Sonny Gray and how he really fits into everything. And when he brought up the killer instinct, that's something that you keep hearing people say about Sonny Gray. Remember, we had John Denton on, and he was talking about when he visited him in Nashville, Tennessee, where Sonny Gray trains, that he was the leader of that group. So who is going to be the leader of this pitching staff, of the starting rotation for this team? Is it going to be Sonny Gray or is it going to be Miles Michaelis? I think that's a storyline you'll see emerge during spring training.
Or is it going to be Lance Lynn?
Or, that's
the president,
that's a fair point.
The new president of Big League Impact, Kyle Gibson. You have a lot of leadership down there, and hopefully the Cardinals will be able to restore what they had back in the day. And I know that the starters got together and watched everybody's bullpens, but now you've got people that can give legitimate advice, people that have been around the block. Kyle Gibson pitched for a team that won 102 games last year, pitched for a World Series team the year before. Sonny Gray, second in the Cy Young voting. Lance Lynn, we know he's a grizzled veteran. Michaelis has pitched in playoffs and pitched in big games for the Cardinals. So not only will you have people that are observant, that know what they're doing, but hopefully they can lend each other some knowledge that maybe the Cardinals didn't have last year, especially when Adam Wainwright wasn't around.
Well, with Adam Wainwright, too, I remember him specifically talking about how even though he's clearly a leader, how sometimes it is hard when you aren't even performing well to then lead others because you also have to manage fixing what you have going on internally. So I'd be interested to see who will kind of emerge as the leader for this group. If you're Matthew Liberatore, who is he going to for advice?
Who's the number one guy at Memphis?
Oh, yeah, that's a fair point. Okay, another young. If you are a young, scratch it. Young pitcher.
Zach Thompson. You go to any of those guys, right?
Yes. Okay, young pitcher. Who are you going to? Yeah. But who are you going to first? Is my question.
You know what? I would probably. It depends on the guy because remember, Adam wanted to find a guy that was kind of like him. Adam 6'7", Chris 6'6". So if you're Zach Thompson, you're probably looking at a Gray. You know, with what he's done. And Gray has already taken a leadership role with this team. So I would think that'd be part of it.
I saw a recent interview with Jack Flaherty where he was talking about how Adam Wainwright specifically went, and we know this, that he would specifically go to the young pitchers or any pitcher in general and would kind of pick up and point out things to them that they would need to work on and fix. So I'm wondering who is that person going to be for this team moving forward?
Yeah, I don't know. That will, you're right, define itself in spring training. Meanwhile, one of the things that has popped up in baseball is that managers are given essentially a script by the front office, and this is how the game should go. And Xavier Scruggs asked Ollie Marmol about the game being run by a script.
You map out, if things go well, here's how I want to use my pen, here's how I want to use my bench.
Right.
And you also do worst case scenario. If things don't work out, here's how we want to use our pen, and here's how we want to use our bench guys. And you go through all those individual matchups. But once the game starts, you want to play the game. You want to feel the game. You want to see the game. And I already I have the majority of that memorized. Right. I do have stuff on me that reinforces just certain notes that I want to make sure I don't miss on. But from, hey, this head-to-head matchup has a projected 640 OPS against this guy and the 710 against it, like that stuff you already kind of have prepped for in how you want to navigate and execute a game plan. But there is a ton of information out there, man, and can some of it paralyze you? Yes. Are managers under more scrutiny because of how much information's out there and your ability to prove decisions being good over time or not? Absolutely. So it'd be dumb not to understand it in a way to inform future decision making. So do I understand it? Yes. Does it run the game? That's probably not the best way to even think of the question.
that's a good thing to hear, because there are going to be situations, for example, Brooke, where a sinker baller is having a good game, but his sinker really isn't what's working that day. So maybe you're a sinker slider guy, and the reason that you're getting guys out today is because your slider is on and you haven't been able to do anything with your sinker. It just isn't sinking. So that changes the approach that you take when selecting a pinch hitter, right? Or if you have a hitter and the opposing pitcher, I guess I should have put it that way. If he's a sinker slider guy and the sinker just isn't there today, and he's just getting he's getting everybody out with sliders, maybe it changes the way you think about, regardless of what the numbers are, who you're going to hit for a guy. Conversely, maybe you have a pitcher that's throwing really well, but you have a hitter against that relief pitcher or that starter that historically has done really well. But you say, man, my pitcher's throwing so well, this is a day that he's going to be able to get that hitter out. You do have to sometimes go away from the numbers and trust your eyes as to what's happening on a given day.
And a lot of that has to do with the trust and the buy-in from your players, because the players also, once that trust is fully established, then they know they can come to you with, okay, I know that this is going on for the betterment of the team. This is the situations that you need to put me in or not put me in. So it all goes back to that buy-in and establishing that very early on in the season, especially, I don't know, I always think about the Ryan Helsley thumb incident. That was so perplexing to me. And that was more not on Ollie Marmol, but on Ryan Helsley maybe not evaluating his thumb injury like he should have.
Right. And just go back in that game. And that's kind of it's the game that people remember about Ollie Marmol.
Yes.
When you go back to taking out Quintana.
Yes.
When he took out Quintana, there was so much in that game that unfortunately has kind of defined 2 years of Ollie Marmol's managing. Unfortunately for him, and we only remember the losses. We don't remember the good moves. But we do remember that. And you're right. That is something that the eye test early on should have been a part of that, because I remember hearing an interview with Mike Maddox where he said, I didn't even see what was happening, that he was blowing up, because I was on the phone with the bullpen. So, by then, the horse was out of the barn, and it was just too late, and Philadelphia won the game, and Cardinals lost the series. That's Brooke. I'm Randy. Coming up, we've got the Rush Hour Reset, and then coming up at 9:15, Joe Buck here on 101 ESPN. Hey, if you're looking at your gutters and they're rusty and they just aren't as attractive as they used to be, I want you to get in touch with my friends at Gutter Pros, because they can get you new gutters. And not only will they look great, but they'll be so functional. A lot of times a home builder is going to put in a smaller, less expensive gutter. And with the rain we have in St. Louis, the gutter will fill up and it'll be overflowing off the front of the gutter, when it's supposed to go, as we all know, down the downspout. Well, at Gutter Pros, they're going to get you the right sized gutters for St. Louis, whether it's for your home or a business, and they're going to do it right. They're going to install them perfectly. They're going to look great, and they're going to be incredibly functional. And if you need leaf protection, if you have leaves around the house or the business, they do that as well. And they'll do soffit and fascia. They really do fantastic work at Gutter Pros. As a matter of fact, they've earned an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau, and they get 4.9 out of 5 stars on their reviews. So they're a company that you want to do business with. Go to gutterpros.com. Great St. Louis company. As a matter of fact, the general sales manager was born and raised right here in St. Louis, loves to work with St. Louisans, and loves to take care of you. It's Gutter Pros for your gutters, gutterpros.com.
morning drive with a Rush Hour Reset.
Joe Buck coming up in about 10 minutes here on 101 ESPN. A couple of notes today, though, for our Rush Hour Reset. Steve Belichick, the son of Bill, is going to be the defensive coordinator at the University of Washington under Jed Fish, whom he coached with the Patriots back in 2020. Steve Belichick sounds just like his dad.
He looks like him.
I wonder if he's going to recruit.
You think?
I don't know. When he talks to a player, what's that going to be like? When he talks to a 16-year-old, he's not Eli Drinkwitz type dynamic. Let's just put it that way.
When I think of Steve Belichick, I just think about all of the memes and videos that have come out of him on the sidelines and the interesting faces that he makes.
Yeah.
Make some weird faces, Randy.
Yeah.
Do you think he does that when he's talking to people,
probably.
too?
Yeah, probably does. The Washington Commanders have officially now announced their coordinators. Former Cardinals coach Cliff Kingsbury is going to be their offensive coordinator, and Joe Whitt, who worked under their new head coach, Dan Quinn in Washington, is going to be the Commanders' defensive coordinator. Golf note for you, Wyndham Clark has now been named the official winner of this year's Pebble Beach Pro-Am. The fourth round canceled because of bad weather in California.
The wind helped Wyndham Clark? Is that what you're saying?
The wind helped Wyndham. Yes.
Ooh, Randy, you're bearing the lead here because we also got two big news things that just came out, okay? Mm-hmm. So you have the Battlehawks with their schedule announced. Mm-hmm. How exciting is that? That's huge. They will kick off their season March 30th on the road against the Michigan Panthers. Luckily, Harbaugh's not there anymore.
Yeah, really.
And then their home opener will be April 6th against the Arlington Renegades.
The hated Renegades. I wonder if Bob Stoops is still their coach. I think he might be. And they're always a tough out. So Coach Becht and the Battlehawks are going to have their hands full. We don't know if our buddy A.J. McCarron is going to come back. Bummer that Ricky Proehl's not going to be back as the receiver coach. I'm excited that Anthony Becht is going to be back. I think that he's great for just really campaigning for things here in St. Louis. I think he's been a great head coach. I wish the Proehl was back like you mentioned. And I thought that A.J. McCarron said that he was going to make a decision within the next couple of days. So we're already past that next couple of days point. So hopefully we'll hear something soon about that. And then the other big news, Randy, this is just coming in via the email. Mizzou Athletics secures $62 million gift commitment. Breaking news, $62 million gift commitment. That is the largest in Mizzou Athletics history. That's unbelievable.
So what does that tell you, Randy?
I wonder if somebody died and left the money to Mizzou. But that's pretty
Literally
cool.
all of it?
$62 million. So what's it going to be used for? Is it going to be used for NIL? Is this a raise for Brady Cook?
So it says the donor who wishes to remain anonymous. Raise for Brady Cook. I'm sorry, that was funny. The donor who wishes, which he could, but I'm saying the $62 million offer him would be a lot. The donor who wishes to remain anonymous has designated $50 million for the Memorial Stadium improvements project to modernize Mizzou football's home stadium. That includes the redevelopment of the North Concourse, other stadium upgrades. The remaining $12 million will go towards Mizzou Tigers Fund.
That's
Mizzou's Tiger Fund.
Amazing. So good for Mizzou, and they're hanging with the rest of the SEC.
It says
so congratulations.
The donor. I want to know who this person is.
I want to know this person.
Don't you? Right?
Who
is this?
I wonder how Mizzou's hoping this NCAA versus Tennessee and West Virginia lawsuit falls because ain't nothing like paying players directly with that kind of money. I tell you that right now.
So not in 2023, but in 2022, I was at Mizzou's training camp, and I was told from somebody very close to the program, and I never was able to get this verified, that Kroenke was back in.
How would you feel? Would it change? I have to ask it, Rob.
If I found out?
Okay. Would it change your perception of Stan Kroenke just a little bit if you found out he was helping out Mizzou Athletics and if he was the $62 million donor?
Is he going to move the franchise?
I would hope not.
Then, he can sit in California and watch us win. That's fine.
$62 million.
Pretty hard to move a university.
It is. That'd be weird. Having Mizzou in LA, that'd be weird.
I have no idea. There's not many people throwing around $62 million. And he, by the way, that would be really out of character for him, because Mora, Missouri, they asked him for $60,000 to help fix, and that's where he's from. That's his hometown.
Yes.
They asked for $60,000 to help fix the roof on their library when it got torn off by a tornado, and he turned them down. So that would be very out of character for him to actually provide to charity or to an endeavor that doesn't benefit him personally.
Well, and you mentioned earlier that with the World Cup coming in, that they have to make $100 million in upgrades to SoFi.
Yeah. So that wouldn't that would not fit. Bill and Nancy Laurie would be much more likely to be the donors than him. All right, there is your Rush Hour Reset here on 101 ESPN coming up. The Super Bowl's coming up. Joe Buck had a chance to do both teams this year. The voice of Monday Night Football on ESPN will join us next on 101 ESPN. The Kerber family are members of the Hoffman Brothers Home Protection Plan, and they were out on Saturday to check out the furnaces, make sure we're all good to go for the winter months, and we are. And we're so thankful that we have Hoffman Brothers in St. Louis, because they do such a magnificent job of making sure that your heating during the winter months and your cooling during the summer months are taken care of. And you might have a two-story home, and it's fun to walk, well, not fun, but interesting to walk by two-story homes and see how many of them have one air conditioner or two. And whether you have one furnace or two, if you have a two-story home that isn't getting as hot as the first floor or as cool as the first floor, you should get in touch with your Mitsubishi Electric heating and air conditioning dealer, Hoffman Brothers. And they'll come out and take a look and see what solutions are available to help better distribute heat to that second floor. They really do know what they're doing, and they really do make a difference at Hoffman Brothers. You can find them on the web at Hoffman Bros, HOFFMANN, HoffmanBros.com, or give them a call, 314-664-3011, 314-664-3011. If you haven't gotten your heating done on a heating system maintenance yet, get it done today. Call Hoffman Brothers Heating and Cooling, your Mitsubishi Electric heating and air conditioning dealer. Mosley, Randy Carricker, the opening drive on 101 ESPN. One of my great friends for more than 3 decades is the voice of Monday Night Football on ESPN, Joe Buck. It's always great to have him on the show. Good morning, sir. How you doing?
Good morning. How are you? I'm 6'1", by the way. Where does that...
You are.
And if I were like a number 3 starter,
there you go. There you go. Yeah. So hey, let's start there. I remember, man. You and I had a conversation. It was. I don't even know if you remember this, but I know you remember doing the 05 World Series when the White Sox had all those power arms, and that's what baseball is now. Is a bunch of those guys, but they were all big, strong, strapping guys. To me, that makes a difference. When you have a guy that's 6'6", you know that he can throw 9 innings, and not that pitchers do it anymore. But I just like a big, strapping, starting pitcher.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with that, but it's hard. I mean, then I present to you one Pedro Martinez.
Yeah,
I mean Greg Maddux. And again, I mean Maddux was not a power guy, but he could muscle up every once in a while and had the ball that jumped and. He would not be considered a big guy, but I know what you're saying. I mean, the typical look of the big horse, the big ace, the number 1 starter is kind of a bigger bodied guy. They just look like they can handle more stress. But there are many, many exceptions to that.
There are. But in general, the guys that you saw for all of those Octobers in the World Series, the number 1 guy was 6'2", 6'3", 6'4", 220. The Justin Verlanders of the world, the Scherzers of the world, the Carpenters of the world.
Andy Pettit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Those guys. Yeah. No, yeah. I don't disagree. Okay. But again, Pedro is very small.
Oh, yeah, and it was awesome. My other question is, Joe, you have also done a lot of Super Bowls. Do you have any desire to be at a Super Bowl that you aren't broadcasting?
Well, I went to the one in L.A., which I know will make you smile because I paid money into the trench that is this growing fund out in Los Angeles with Mr. E. Stanley Kroenke. But I went. My daughters wanted to go. It was L.A. Actually, our Super Bowl will be in L.A., which I hope you'll forgive me for doing the game at SoFi in a few years.
No,
not really.
I'll be your. Well, you've already got a spotter, but I might be standing in the back of the booth to get you grapes or something.
Okay. All right. Good. It's a hell of a stadium. You have to see it. Have you seen it?
I have not been in there. No.
Okay. No, it's great, but yeah. No, I do not have any desire to be there. It's a lot of logistics. It's a lot of congestion. It's just not. I'm not that way. I'm not looking for the Maxim party and like going out all night. And it's just not my. It's not my thing. And then you combine that with Vegas. I don't know. There's going to be some story. There's going to be something that happens because it's Vegas, and it won't stay in Vegas. It's going to be a big something that happens. I don't know what it is. I have no idea. I just think it's just that is going to be a mess in my mind.
Joe, I think that if we ever see Randy in SoFi, I think that somebody might have kidnapped him.
I agree.
I think there's no way. If I found out that he was there.
In there, Randy, I'm going to drag you in there someday, and we're going to walk the concourse, and we're going to look at it, and you're going to go, oh, okay. I don't know.
Could it please be for a Charger game?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, let's do that. Let's baby steps.
Just little baby steps. Well, Joe, I do want to ask you about the Chiefs and 49ers. Are you surprised that these are the 2 teams left standing?
Not the 49ers, and I probably shouldn't be that it is the Chiefs. I think I get a little bit biased when I do a team like I did the Ravens. I did them on Christmas in Santa Clara, and they were phenomenal. I did them in the playoff game against Houston. In the second half, they were unstoppable. And I thought, man, Kansas City's going to have their hands full going into Baltimore and taking on Lamar Jackson the way he played, the way that defense is playing. And it just didn't happen. I think we should all be smart enough to know that Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Andy Reid, Steve Spagnuolo, these guys are hard to beat this time of the year. And with all the things that went wrong during the regular season, they have it going now. Their defense is playing a lot better, like they did at the start of the year. Their offensive line's playing better. So I shouldn't be surprised, but I was. If you had asked me going into the Ravens game, I thought the Ravens would win at home, and now I think Kansas City's the team to beat.
Hey, Joe, as you know, one of the things that's happened in football, and it's in part due to the fact that it kind of is the case that the quarterback is so overarching that it's, can Mahomes beat Purdy? Can Mahomes beat Lamar Jackson? But to me, Patrick Mahomes is maybe the one guy that does beat an entire other team. He elevates everybody around him. He just changes the dynamic of a football game, doesn't he?
I agree. That's well said, because, you know, we all fall into that trap. You look at the quarterback matchup, and it's really not. It's not Brady against Mahomes. It's Brady against the defense. It's Mahomes against the defense. But I think Patrick Mahomes does kind of pull everybody along with him. I think that includes the coaching staff and any offensive coordinator and any play call. He just makes things better. He's a great guy. He's a guy that when you get to know him, the more you get to know him, the more you like him. The more you get around their PR staff and you hear stories about things that he does when nobody's watching, the different days that he brightens by being just a good person. It's a lot. If you're not a diehard Kansas City fan, you know, you've seen him in the postseason every year. The quarter ends and every commercial on TV is Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce, and I get it. It's a lot, but I trust me when I say that both guys are terrific people, Travis and Patrick, and the head coach is just a special man who has been able to evolve over the years and had a lot of success in Philly and even more in Kansas City.
Well, then you also have the big story of Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce. Has that been good for the NFL? What do you think about that?
Yeah, it's been great for the NFL. I think we're all smart enough to know that this is a business. I mean, I know that some people get bent out of shape for whatever reason when they see her cheering in the luxury suite. I don't know why. I don't know why that's so off-putting to people, but it is to some. I think most people don't really care, and I think it's cool that she's there and cheering on her boyfriend. You know, that's another person. Not to name drop or act like the big shot in the room, but I've met her a couple of times, and mainly because my daughters were diehard fans years ago. She sang the national anthem at a World Series game I did. I think it was in 2008 in Philadelphia, and it's the only time I went down there to meet anybody singing the anthem. And she was a nice young girl then, and has become just from everything I hear, people that have been in those luxury suites, I share an agent with Travis Kelce, could not be a nicer person to anybody that comes in her path. So, yeah, she's a mega star. It's a lot, but, you know, from all accounts, they're two really good people.
Hey, Joe, it's the sport is so unpredictable, and these two teams are so good. Do you think there's one thing that sets one team apart from the other than, like the aforementioned Mahomes?
Well, I'm a Purdy fan too, by the way, and I think we've kind of grown into this lexicon of something being negative if you say they're a game manager, and then you throw on top of that Mr. Irrelevant. I think it was the 262nd pick in the draft before last year, and if he was the 261st, would anybody even bring any of that stuff up? It's just that he was. San Francisco had that pick. They took him. I remember from day one when we talked to Kyle early in the season last year, he said, I've never had more confidence in a backup quarterback than I have in Brock Purdy. And then Garoppolo gets hurt. He takes over, and the guy manages that offense and distributes the ball the way Kyle Shanahan has always dreamed of it being distributed. So he loves him. We have a ton of respect for Kyle. I think it's the play calling of Kyle Shanahan, his ability to get matchups that favor his playmakers, and he's got a lot of them. With McCaffrey and Debo is amazing and just a mismatch. And Ayuk has ascended to a number one receiver, and the tight end Kittle's great. I mean, they got a lot and a good offensive line, a Hall of Fame left tackle. There's a lot there. And so Kansas City's going to have their hands full. I would still lean toward KC, but I think it's Kyle Shanahan's ability to get matchups and Patrick Mahomes' ability to make chicken salad out of nothing.
That's a great story. Well, I saw in a recent interview, Joe, that you had with Sports Illustrated where you talked about a possibility of you coming back to do some baseball, maybe with Chip Carey. Is that something that you would be interested in doing or have thought about more?
Oh, God. Yeah. I mentioned it. People say, well, do you miss calling baseball? And my answer has always been, and I know it makes some people mad in baseball that I say this, I've heard from different people that I don't miss calling national games. What my answer is, I miss being the Cardinals guy. I miss being able to outwardly root for a team and to be happy when they hit a home run and be frustrated when they lose a lead. And it just adds another layer when you're broadcasting. So my answer was, do I miss calling the national games? No. What I do miss is how I started, which was doing games. Of course, my dad was there, but doing games, carrying along with Cardinal fans. The perception is I don't like the Cardinals. I love the Cardinals. They're a part of my DNA. And getting back to that someday, way in the future, is something that's a possibility if it all matched up. But I'm aware that that's somebody else's job, and I'm not the guy that's going, if I want to come down and maybe do a game or two or five, or I just don't think like that. Like, I think it's insulting to Chip or somebody else. But if they needed me, and somebody showed up or couldn't go because they were sick, they could call me and I'd run down there and I would do the most slanted game because the only team I would know is the Cardinals. So I would have no idea who they're playing or who's good on the other team.
But for a day or two, to have Buck and Carey in the booth together would be pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for everybody that's like 70 and older, I don't know that anybody's would freak out about that, but it'd be fun for the two of us. I've known Chip; he was with us at Fox, and he and I have always been friends because we've had kind of a similar path in some ways with the whole nepotism and all the other stuff that comes with a famous last name and a famous dad and granddad in his case, dad in mind. So we've always kind of had that connection. If he signed off on it and said, "Hey, here's a game in August. If you're home, let's do it," then I would do it. But I think the ask would have to come from Chip.
Yeah.
Rather than Billy or anybody else.
Okay, Joe, I got three more things for you. One more broadcasting thing. There has been a lot of belief, and I think on your part, that Tom Brady would never become an analyst on Fox. As we sit here now, February 5th, 2024, do you think Brady winds up doing games on Fox?
Oh, yeah. I think the only thing I said at the time, and I don't backtrack off that, I said taking a year off and then him going through everything he was going through in his personal life, going through divorce, kind of putting the game behind him, I was always skeptical that he'd want to get back in and kind of do what is necessary to be good at being a game analyst. And I think, I still think until you do it and until you get in there and see what it takes and what it's like when the red light comes on and you're under time constraints and you've got to make a point real quick and you're, doing a production meeting with, whoever, Baker Mayfield, and you're gathering information and you're building toward a game. It's a lot. And I'm not saying my job is awesome and it's fun and whatever, but I'm conditioned. I know what I need to know. I know what I don't need to know. And I think the minute he starts, it's going to be intense scrutiny, and I'm anxious to see. Every time I did say I was skeptical of it, I did end it with, and it is so true, I really hope he does it because I think it'll be fascinating. and I want to see him put his mind to being a game analyst. I think it's great. So good for Fox, and good for him that he wants to do it. I talked to Burkhart the other day. He's done 2 practice games with him. And so if he's doing practice games and he's kind of canvassing other people who've done it, he wants to be great at it. And I think we're all smart enough to know that if Tom Brady wants to be great at something, he's probably going to succeed.
Yeah, pretty good chance of that happening. All right, to the Blues. Doug Armstrong, I know will call you before the deadline. If Army says, Joe, should I buy or should I sell? What are you going to tell him?
Sell. We're all. I love Doug Armstrong. Well, I mean, let's see where they are. But I mean, is it realistic to think that if they buy and give away younger assets or draft picks that they're still going to have enough to win a cup? I mean, we won it a handful of years ago. I say we like I was out on the ice, but the Blues won it, and we all loved every second of it. We've had that taste. I think we're all adult enough to know that these things happen in cycles. And what I love about Doug is him being honest and saying, we're not, whatever the quote was, paraphrasing, we're not in that upper group of teams coming into the season. And so, when you have a GM, and I love the man, when you have a GM that I think is real and is realistic with expectations, then I think you're looking at it through the right lens. And I just don't think a couple of deals here or there or one deal is going to make them a Stanley Cup winning contender. So keep building, keep getting better, getting younger. Hopefully Snuggerud comes along and he's phenomenal. They have pieces, but they have to get younger, in my opinion. And then the last thing. Is it 20 years ago that you basically spent a whole summer sharpening your golf game? Is it that long ago that you brought a coach with you pretty much everywhere you went, right? Yeah, that's so embarrassing to even admit. But yeah,
it was. I wish that I could have done that. But now you're probably going to get a chance over the course of this week to play a little golf. If you don't swing for a month, when you get to the driving range, is your swing there and the same all the time, or do you have to kind of work your way into getting your swing where you want it?
Randy, I need a therapist for this kind of stuff. I obsess about it. I hit so many balls like 4 days ago when the weather was nice that my left elbow just blew up. It's ridiculous how bad my elbow looks. It reminds me, A, that I'm getting old, B, that I felt like I was hitting the ball well on the range and I couldn't stop. But it's typically when I take a lot of time off, I come back and I keep it simple and I'm better. But then I start tinkering and thinking and writing down notes, and my almost 6-year-old boys are walking behind me like, Dad's working on his golf swing again because I'm pantomiming something walking down the hallway. So it's just nuts. It's sad. It really is. I should be better than I am for the amount of time and energy and angst I spend just thinking about my swing.
I am glad that you and I and Rob Manfred aren't the only 3 people that mime a swing.
Yeah. No, I do it all day long. And I think here's my one tip for the day. I think I've spent way too long worrying about where the club is in my backswing that I have just completely forgotten about actually hitting the ball toward the target. So I'm forgetting my backswing in 2024. I'm going from the ball forward, and I'm going to see what that does for me.
Joe, that's a great pre-swing routine too, right? Just towards the target, right? Just have it in your mind.
And getting my lower body more involved and getting my arms out of it. I think, if you look at my Instagram, and I've been off Instagram for like 5 months, and it's been the greatest 5 months of my life. I'm much more productive. But if you look at what is, siphoned toward me with some kind of algorithm, it's every swing tip, it's every junk item that is sold to people on the Golf Channel for the latest and greatest. It's just crap.
You and I both.
It's absurd. So just go hit the ball and stop thinking. It's ridiculous.
All right. Well, you have fun playing. Enjoy the Super Bowl. Have a great time, and we always appreciate talking to you. Love you, man.
All right. Love you guys. And I listen a lot. So I'm going to send you my notes, Brooke and Randy.
I just got so nervous.
I've got some thoughts.
All right,
Joe,
brother.
can I just say real quick?
I am going to call Hoffman when I.
There you go.
Yeah, they'll take care of your furnace.
Can I just say, Joe, the first time that Randy told me that you listened to the show, I immediately got so nervous. I was like, Joe Buck listens to the show?
Yeah, I mean, come on. Of course. Yeah.
I was like, now every time I screw up, I'm like, okay, Joe Buck just heard that. Great. Fantastic.
Yeah. I get it that Dan doesn't like any of the little face-off sound drops other than just win, baby. I got it. You got it.
I'll just for you. Next time I win, if I win again, I will do all of them.
If you win again, I don't even know you anymore. The stuff that you remember is just, it makes me want to slide into an MRI tube and get everything checked, because I was at some of these things and I don't remember them. And your memory is crazy.
Well, Joe, as I tell you, it's the one gift I have.
That's not true. You have more gifts than that.
I appreciate that. You're a great friend. Thank you, sir. We'll talk to you later.
All right, see you.
See you, Joe. The great Joe Buck with us on 101 ESPN. A Hall of Famer, Joe Buck, by the way, Pro Football Hall of Fame. And he won the Pete Rozelle Award, as his father did, and should be a Ford Frick Award winner in the Baseball Hall of Fame, too.
And we got several texts in that were wanting to make sure that he knows that they're 28 years old, 30 years old. They would love to see him in the booth with Chip.
Oh. Awesome. Great to hear. So there you go. Coming up, we've got a little bit of Super Bowl talk before we head down the stretch of this edition of The Opening Drive on 101 ESPN. On Wednesday, I'm going to be making my way over to Mentality, where they have a breakthrough treatment to help guys regain normal function and restore your ability to perform normally at all levels. If you're having trouble, if you hop on the treadmill and you used to be able to do 45 minutes on the treadmill and now it gets to 25 minutes and you're gassed, it could be an issue with low T, because all of us after the age of 30 have our testosterone level and our energy level drop. At Mentality, they have an FDA-approved testosterone treatment that will restore your testosterone level and restore your energy and your mental acuity. If you're dealing with low energy and motivation, maybe you have some fatigue, those are all problems that could be associated with low T that can all be solved by going to Mentality. It's a great local clinic. They have facilities in Chesterfield and in South County, and they're going to do great work. They've got great doctors and fantastic nurses that are going to help you through the process. Check out where your testosterone level is and then get it back to normal. And they're going to help you out by providing the least out-of-pocket expense possible by working with your insurance company. Go to lowtusa.com to start your journey today. Make an appointment now at lowtusa.com for Mentality.
This is Rocky with your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. There were some All-Star games over the weekend, and I don't really care what the scores were, as the NFC did come away with a win over the AFC 64-59. And unfortunately, Robert Thomas does go scoreless in the NHL All-Star Game earlier on in the weekend. For some actual scores that mattered, it was another rough weekend for your local college basketball teams, as St. Louis falls to Fordham 67-65, and Missouri falls to 0-9 in the SEC with a 68-61 loss to Vanderbilt. There was one win, and that was number 14 Fighting Illini getting a Big Ten win over Nebraska 87-84. And also, if you want to check out the Dobbs Tire and Auto Center's podcast, you can catch interviews with Chris Kerber and Joe Buck here from the opening drive. That is your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff. Find your road and shop 24/7 at londoff.com and londoffautoplex.com. Are you kidding me?
When I was doing afternoons, I always enjoyed participating in Heat Up St. Louis. And this Friday morning, you can help Heat Up St. Louis during the 24th annual Hardee's Rise and Shine fundraiser. Stop by any participating Hardee's in the bi-state area on Friday morning and grab a sausage biscuit or an egg biscuit for just $1. 100% of the proceeds of all funds collected will help Heat Up St. Louis, supporting people in need in both Missouri and Illinois. That's Friday morning at any participating Hardee's. Find more info at 101ESPN.com. And I'm not going to be able to do it this year because our participation is from 7 to 9 a.m. But I hope you, listening, will participate and go to Hardee's on Friday morning and get a sausage or egg biscuit for $1. And then give them an extra 20 for Heat Up St. Louis, which helps people that can't afford heating for the winter pay their heating bills.
I've had a Hardee's biscuit in a while.
Oh, doctor.
It sounds so good.
Good. So we've got the Super Bowl coming up on Sunday, and one of the things that is kind of stepped up over the course of the last few weeks due to Cam Newton's podcast is the belief that Brock Purdy, the quarterback of the 49ers, is simply a game manager. Steve Spagnuolo, former Rams head coach and defensive coordinator of the Kansas City Chiefs, was asked about that label for Brock Purdy.
Yeah, all they got to do is put the tape on, Adam, in my opinion. We had some crossover film during the course of the year, but when you dive into it and you watch him, you don't. It's not a quarterback that's managing or all those tabs that they put on. He's for real. Makes all the throws. Really, really smart. And then what I didn't know, because I don't watch, I'm not seeing enough of it, is how athletic he is. I mean, this is another quarterback that when you cover everything back there and he finds a lane in a pass rush line, can take off. He did it last week. He's done it in every playoff game and gets positive yards. That puts a lot of strain on us defensively. Thoroughly impressed with him.
With all those weapons and with his mobility. For a guy like Spags to say that, pretty big statement. And Brock Purdy is going to be, as our old friend Steve Savard would say, a snootful for Spags' defense on Sunday.
I miss Steve Savard. That's just a side note. But other than that, he's doing great in Springfield, by the way. Mm-hmm. But with what he's saying, I 100% agree with him. And I also agree with what Joe just said a little bit ago, that there's nothing wrong necessarily with that game manager role, because isn't that a big part of what you're supposed to do as a quarterback? I thought it was interesting, too, this weekend that Joe Montana, he was on the Pat McAfee show, and he brought up that, he looked at it as, you're the mailman. It's not about you. It's about you deliver it to the people so that they can get the rest of it done. There's nothing wrong with necessarily managing it, because that's part of you being the quarterback, is being a good manager of things. So I feel like sometimes there's such a negative connotation to it when that's not necessarily a bad thing. But also, as we just heard Spags say, you have to see a lot more from Brock Purdy, and he progressively is showing you more and more. He uses arms and legs against the Lions.
And there's a difference with a guy like Purdy and Mahomes. We talked about Mahomes being able to lift everybody, but he's a 1 in a million. Brock Purdy is a great point guard. He's not unlike Kurt Warner, because Kurt walked in with Marshall and Torrey and Isaac and Ricky Prohl and Azakimi and walked into that offense, and Trent Williams, who is Orlando Pace, and he walked in and he got the ball into the hands of his playmakers. That's all Brock Purdy is asked to do. He doesn't need to elevate people because those people are already great. And in terms of being the point guard and getting the ball into the right place, his coach, Kyle Shanahan, says he's perfect in that regard. And
there's nothing wrong with that. You need a good point guard because you have to have somebody who can protect the ball and get it to those right people. This would be a totally different story for the 49ers if he was a turnover machine this season.
It would. Now, I will say this. Brock Purdy is towards the end of his second year. He's going to see things, especially with 2 weeks to get ready, from Spags' defense that he has not seen before.
Yes.
If ever there was a time where Brock Purdy had to be completely on his game, it's this weekend. I was thinking last night when I couldn't sleep because my alarm was going off, I was thinking about the difference in this game. To me, the difference in this game is going to be, can the offensive line of the Chiefs, especially, and I'm assuming that Joe Thuney's not going to play, can those tackles, Donovan Smith and the right tackle, I forgot his name right now, but can they handle Chase Young and Nick Bosa? Because we saw what happened to Mahomes against Tampa Bay in the Super Bowl, right? And that offensive line is not unlike what they had against Tampa Bay. A little bit better because of Humphrey and Smith, but I'm really concerned about the Chiefs' ability to keep Patrick Mahomes upright and in the pocket and not on the ground against those defensive linemen of the 49ers. I think that might be the difference in the game.
It could be. I mean, and we know that Patrick Mahomes is fine out of the pocket.
And by the way, it's Jawan Taylor. I'm sorry.
Yes, there you go. But at the same time, too, I think it will come down to the defenses. I think it really will on both sides. It's going to come down to the defenses, what they're able to do. You brought up Spags' defense. The way that they've been able to confuse quarterbacks this season, I think, is really a big testament to what he's been able to build over there.
My guess is that San Francisco is going to come out trying to run the ball. That they're going to try to keep the ball out of Mahomes' hands and hand it to McCaffrey, and maybe Elijah Moore gets a little bit, not Elijah Moore, Elijah, whatever the other running back's name. I'm not doing good with names. Clearly, I was up late last night. Huh? Elijah Mitchell. Yeah. If I were Shanahan, I'd be trying to run the ball against that defense to start things off and not have to even bother with Chris Jones rushing my passer.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you have Christian McCaffrey, that helps things.
Take a chance, yeah. We're going to head down the stretch with a little rock and roll, next on 101 ESPN.
If you can't get enough of daily fantasy, I have the perfect game to you thanks to my friends at Underdog Fantasy. It's their new Pick'em Champions game. You just make an entry for Pick'em Champions so easily. You pick 2 to 5 players from at least 2 different teams, select higher or lower on the player stat projections, and once your entry is ready, you're entered in with other underdogs. And here's the thing, Underdog keeps on changing the game to make sure it's the best for you. Just today, they've added flexible entry fees, and they're including Scorchers in the Pick'em Champions games. Make your experience even better. Live projections options are still there. My favorite part over the weekend when I'm watching games, I can just keep on adding entries as I'm watching it. As I feel like the game's changing, I can make some more entries and win some more money that way. Underdog is super easy to play and even easier to get started. Go to their easy-to-use mobile app or to UnderdogFantasy.com and sign up with the promo code ROCC, and Underdog will handle your deposit and double it up to $100. Plus, they'll give you a special pick of higher than 0.5 total yards to use on your first pick'em entry. That's basically free money for your big game entry. That's Underdog Fantasy promo code ROCC-ROCK to get your first deposit of $10 or more up to $100 doubled, plus that special pick. Must be 18 plus and present in the state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Concern with your play. Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Visit www.ncpgambling.org.
I want to rock. I need my end roll.
Let's rock. Let's rock today.
Hey, 101 ESPN is your chance to win a pair of single-session passes to the 2024 State Farm Missouri Valley Conference Men's Basketball Tournament. It's the return of Arch Madness at the annual MVC Tournament, March 7th through 10th at Enterprise Center. All single-session and all-session and a single-session tickets are on sale now. Text in to the Air Comfort Service text line to score passes to Arch Madness at 314-399-9646, 314-399-YO-HO. And to learn more about the Valley Tournament and to register to win tickets at 101ESPN.com, you can also go to the 101 mobile app. All right, Matthew Rocchio, I put you on the spot here. You got a question for us?
Yes. Who walked away as tournament champions of Arch Madness last season? And I'll give you a little hint. It was not the regular season champion. We haven't actually had that double up in the last 2 years. Loyola is the last team to double up both as conference champions and as tournament champs. So last year, not the conference championship, but the actual tournament championship. Who walked away as the MVC champion?
Okay, we'll take texter number 23, the champion of the 23 Arch Madness 2023. Text in again, 314-399-9646, 314-399-YO-HO. And texter number 23 that knows the answer to the winner of the tournament last year wins the tickets to this year's tournament. All right, rock and roll. What do we got, sir?
Well, this is going to be a very quick one. Sorry, I was kind of taking over your rock and roll, but we were setting up for this sound. Mooney Ward had a very interesting reaction, I guess you could say, to about playing the Super Bowl in Las Vegas. Here's what he had to say about it.
Well, it's Super Bowl in Vegas, so it might turn up a little bit the first day or two out there, but after that, really just lock in, you know what I'm saying, focus. The whole week is really like a movie. Like, you're going to see celebrities everywhere. Pre-game on the field, you might see Jay-Z, Beyonce, you know what I'm saying, Kevin Hart, people like that, but I mean, it's still a game at the end of the day, you know what I'm saying? We still got to go out there and try to get the win, especially in the Super Bowl. You know you don't want to fuck up in the Super Bowl, so you got to go out there all weekend. You know, just be locked in, be on your stuff.
So, turning up the first 2 days of the Super Bowl.
So that fits into Joe's prediction, right? That something
You
will
don't want
happen?
that to happen. You don't want what your reaction? Hopefully, maybe he didn't mean it and necessarily the way that. Well, he probably didn't mean it that way, did he?
Mean it that way. It's Vegas, after all.
I was trying to think of a way to make this work out where it wouldn't necessarily look bad on him. But when you hear turn up, I don't know if you can exactly point to anything else.
Every single TMZ employee is going to be in Vegas for the Super Bowl, are they not?
Oh my God.
It
worries me.
Joe's line was perfect. It's not going to stay in Vegas. Something is going to happen in Vegas, and it's not going to stay in Vegas.
That's why I'm kind of surprised that they actually have it in Vegas. Did that surprise you a little bit?
A little bit, but
just because you worry about some of the negativity that could come out of it.
They dove all in. The NFL did. But it used to be back in the day when Dick Vermeil, who's going to join us tomorrow, by the way, had his Eagles in New Orleans for the Super Bowl. The Raiders didn't have a curfew and were just walking up and down all of the French Quarter in New Orleans at all hours of the night. And then they wound up winning the game. And they just went crazy there. The Bears did the same thing in New Orleans. It's all about having the best players. If you have the best players, it doesn't matter what they do because they're doing the same thing at home. You don't think that they're going to casinos and going out
different
and doing
in Las
stuff,
Vegas.
after parties? But you can get drunk in a lot of places.
That's true. That is very, very true that you can do that.
You just want to keep people out of the Bunny Ranch. That's
oh no, Ranch! No. All right. We gotta wrap this show up.
Well, you do. I mean, Lamar Odom.
That's just good advice. That's just good advice.
Lamar Odom spent like 3 days having a night there.
He almost died, Randy.
Randy, it wasn't the Bunny Ranch that was the problem in that story.
Oh, it was the drugs?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh my word! There's going to be so many people. They'll be like, "Wait, what?" Well,
yeah. Lamar took a nap. Let's just put it that way. Almost a dirt nap. But he did take a nap.
Oh my gosh! No. So bad.
We've got a balloon party coming up with T-Mac and Ajax here on 101 ESPN. More of the same kind of material. We'll just say, okay, Tim McKernan, Bunny Ranch, go, and that's an hour right there.
Oh my gosh! He'll be through it.
Tim McKern's ready. Can you say dirt nap on the air? I didn't think you could say it on the 101 airwaves.
I think
it's good to know.
That is our producer, audio video engineer, the one, the only Matthew Rocchio.
Pleasure.
Brooke, did you have fun today?
Yes, I did.
I'm glad. Coffee, you overcame the coffee mishap.
I did. The coffee pants. It's a sad situation.
Well, you might have discovered
coffee on her pants.
Something new. Which woke you up more, drinking the coffee or spilling it all over yourself?
Spilling it all over myself.
See, stop drinking the coffee. Just spill it all over yourself. It wakes you right up.
That definitely will wake you up. Life hack: just spill coffee on your pants. It'll wake you up really quickly.
Danny Mac will be back with us tomorrow. We thank you for tuning in, texting in, and being a part of the show. For all of us until tomorrow morning at 7. Have a great Monday, St. Louis.
That's right.
All right, if you haven't already thought about it, I have. You need to think about your big game party, and you need to get things started at Schnucks. You know, they're going to have the Chiefs cookie cakes available for you, but you can do everything that you need to do. Now, here's the character plan, and you can steal this if you want, because what you want to do is have foods that are indigenous to both cities. So, going to have some of that clam chowder from San Francisco. I've got a great clam chowder recipe. I'll put it on the old socials for you.